Alright, you and I are about to meet Jay, the school's top genius. While other guys chase girls, he's sharpening his brain for perfection. But even for a total bookworm, the ladies are watching. Our girl Mia can't take her eyes off the student council president. Then, everything changes when the guy who never fights shows up to school totally beaten up. The whole school is in shock. Nobody could have guessed why. After all, Jay is a national ranker who lives his life strictly by the rules. He does everything by the book, but then, a sudden shift. The teacher introduces a wild new transfer student all the way from the United States. She is the principal's granddaughter, so everyone is ordered to treat her like royalty. But watch this. When the blonde beauty sees Jay, she kisses him right in front of the entire class. It leaves everyone speechless, especially the girl who's been crushing on him from afar. Even the principal is watching this chaos unfold from his window. As for Jay, he has absolutely no clue what just hit him. He has never met her before, but the girl, Shelly, just points at the boy next to Jay and demands his seat. Since it was a polite request, the kid moves out of the way pretty fast. Suddenly, random students are swarming Jay. They all want to know how he snagged a 10 out of 10 foreign girlfriend. Mia is devastated, but stick with me. We need to go back a few days to see how this all really started. Jay lives close to school, but he treats his old bicycle like a getaway vehicle. Why? Because school is boring, and he needs that morning adrenaline hit. On his route, everything is just another obstacle to clear. He shreds through the streets like he is trying to get a Red Bull sponsorship. Construction workers and couples in the middle of a kiss are left shaking in his wake. When he hits the death slope, a hill most people won't even walk down, Jay goes full throttle. He flies down at max speed, ending with a brutal maneuver that nearly snaps his bike in half. The popular kids are watching in total disbelief. They absolutely hate seeing a quiet nerd aura farming way harder than any of them ever could. Some are impressed, but others want to teach him a lesson. Another day begins at school, and as usual, everyone around Jay is complaining about life. Jay blocks it all out, focusing entirely on his books and ignoring the noise. As he wonders why he feels so unmotivated, Mia watches him closely. She jumps when a friend asks what is going on in her head. Her friend wants to know if she is ready for the big exams. Mia just smiles, saying she is studying a little here and there. The advice is simple: hit the books harder or fail the tests. Her friend thinks balance is key, but Mia clearly has other things on her mind. Mia knows everyone thinks the president is a boring study machine with zero hobbies, but she is his biggest defender. Whenever someone talks trash, she is right there with nothing but praise for him. To her, Jay is just incredible, and that is the moment her friend realizes Mia is head over heels in love. Then there is Mu, the red-haired guy in the black jacket. He is the absolute heartthrob of the class. Yuna points out that just his presence is enough to get all the girls excited. Mu immediately claps back, calling Yuna a grandma. As you can imagine, she is not laughing at his joke at all. It gets worse when he sticks his tongue out and makes another snarky comment. Yuna is blowing a fuse. Even when her friends tell her to chill, she starts dropping every insult she can think of. Even in a rage, she is still stunning. Dom Kang is mesmerized, admiring every little move Yuna makes while she is fuming. Mu thinks his sister is way too temperamental. He decides to slip away quietly, acting like he does not even know her. Through all the drama, Jay is still buried in his work. As Minu tries to escape his sister, he stops to greet Jay. Jay completely ignores him at first, making Minu realize he is being ghosted. Since he won't go away, Jay finally tells him he is busy and asks what he wants. Now, you and I need to watch this carefully. Minu invites Jay to join his cycling team. He mentions that insane downhill maneuver Jay pulled earlier was actually totally impressive. Mu admits the whole team was shocked to see Jay crush that slope with a single, perfect skid. They were even more stunned to find out he was the student council president. Mu is here for one reason: to recruit him. But again, zero response. Jay just keeps ignoring him. Yuna thinks it is weird to see them together since she had no idea they were even friends. Over nearby, Mia is also dying to know what they are talking about. Jay obviously does not care. He just wants the noise to stop so he can study. Minu can't believe he has zero interest. Minu finally walks away, muttering an apology while grumbling about how annoying guys like Jay can be. Jay does not show it on the outside, but deep down he is starting to feel a little spark of interest. Hearing about bikes takes him back to when he was 13 and got his very first one. His uncle gave it to him, saying that while grades matter, you've got to get some fresh air sometimes. He promised that once Jay got better at riding, they'd go on epic trips together. Class ends and everyone heads out. Yuna and Mia are venting about how stressful it is being a teenager in this school. Yuna thought these years would be romantic and legendary, but instead, every single day feels exactly the same. Mia tells her not to be so negative. She promises that there are still plenty of wild adventures waiting for them. Mia tells her to stay positive for the holidays. Suddenly, Dom Kang pops up, asking Yuna if she wants to catch a zombie movie. Yuna screams in terror and tells him to shut up, deciding it is time to hand out a little punishment. She warned him about creeping up like a stalker. After taking the hit, Dom Kang realizes that Yuna actually knows how to throw a punch. He chases after her, desperate to watch that movie on his huge 90-inch TV. Meanwhile, Jay watches the chaos from the window, while slowly packing up his school gear to go home. He is ready to leave, but Mu is back. And trust me, you and I are not ready for the secret he is about to drop. Alright, you and I are diving into a story where a junk bike is about to humble a pro. Minu reveals a rival wants a piece of Jay tonight, but Jay just stares him down, claiming he hasn't even begun to ride. He tells Minu to buzz off, but Minu drops a name that changes everything TJ can. See, TJ has been calling Jay's bike a piece of trash and mocking anyone who takes gear that seriously. He wants a showdown at Green Park tonight, and he is not taking no for an answer. Jay does not say a word, but you can tell those insults about his bike cut deep. By nightfall, the park is alive with the sound of wheels and high-energy crowds. The Zephus crew steals the show, pulling off tricks that leave everyone speechless. Minu is locked in until his buddy June pranks him with a freezing cold energy drink. June tells him to chill out, but Minu is convinced Jay will show. Now, they just have to wait. June wonders why Minu is so obsessed with this guy, suggesting they just race themselves if he flakes. Minu tells him to keep it down, insisting there is no mystery, riding is just what they do. But June knows the truth. Jay is a monster on two wheels who has been riding solo for way too long. Pay attention, because this is where the tension hits the roof as the rival crew arrives. They start talking trash, calling Jay a coward, but Minu shuts them down. He knows his boy is coming. They mock Minu's injury, laughing off his challenge for a quick warm-up round. But then, the atmosphere shifts. Jay finally rolls up, and the whispers start instantly. Minu smirks, taunting TJ that his fancy carbon bike might finally meet its match against a junk frame. TJ steps up with a fake smile and an outstretched hand, surprised the school legend actually showed. Jay just leaves him hanging. Classic. Minu breathes a sigh of relief. The main event is officially on. Jay is not here for small talk. He is busy, so June steps in to lay out the ground rules. June introduces himself formally, catching everyone off guard with his unusually polite third-year greeting. Another kid named Jack Joe chimes in, representing the second-year riders. The rules are simple. It is a one-on-one sprint. First person back to this spot wins it all. They have even got spotters at every turn to make sure nobody cheats. Jay looks at his arrogant opponent and tells Minu one thing: do not ask me to join the team after this. June hands over a helmet, but Minu notices something wild. Jay completely removed his brakes. TJ keeps barking, telling Jay to try and keep up, but Minu tells him to pipe down. The cameras are rolling. Every second of this showdown is about to be immortalized. The announcer holds a gear high, then lets it drop. 5, 4, 3. Impact. They are off, and TJ's expensive lightweight bike gives him the early lead. June starts pedaling like a madman, desperate to capture the high-speed chaos on camera. TJ keeps mocking the trash bike, telling Jay to get used to looking at his back for the rest of the night. Now watch this carefully. Jay's eyes lock in, and he starts pedaling with terrifying power. He is closing fast, forcing TJ to kick some cones right into Jay's path. But Jay dodges obstacles for breakfast. June screams out as he realizes just how dirty TJ is playing. A cone clips his wheel, sending him wobbling just as June spots a massive threat ahead. A car pulls out right in their path, but Jay does not brake. He uses it as a freaking ramp. This insane stunt leaves TJ absolutely fuming. June is losing his mind behind the lens. He has got the shot of a lifetime, as Jay picks up even more speed. Heart racing, June screams at TJ to stop his reckless, life-threatening stunts. TJ gives a fake apology, but Jay is moving faster than anyone thought possible on a bike like that. That 360 maneuver was genius. Jay's reflexes are on another level. The gap is gone. They are neck and neck, and Jay looks ready to end this. And trust me, you and I are about to see just how far TJ will go at the final turn. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a pro cyclist gets humbled by a kid on a total junk bike. Jay sees the road differently. He hits that tight turn with insane skill, leaving TJ with a front row seat to the most perfect maneuver he has ever seen. He watches as Jay executes a flawless drift right under his nose. By the time they clear the curve, Jay has already pulled ahead, leaving a massive gap behind him. TJ is losing his mind with frustration. Meanwhile, Jay is just vibing, completely at peace as he leans into the speed and enjoys the thrill of the race. June is losing it over Jay. He never thought he would see someone pull a drift like that on a bicycle. Where did Jay even learn to ride this well? Jay handles that beat-up old frame like it is part of his own body. Behind him, TJ is absolutely fuming, desperate to close the distance but failing miserably. It feels impossible that his expensive carbon fiber bike is being smoked by a piece of junk. But then, Jay looks back and starts waving him on from the front. Jay says that is the only view he is going to get. This changed everything for TJ, who starts pedaling like a madman to try and reclaim his pride. Furious, TJ screams that it is not over yet, and Jay better wait up. He swears he will catch him, saying it is only a matter of time. Jay just glances back and says studying is not necessary. Watch closely, because Jay has a plan. He intends to end this entire race in exactly 4 minutes. He knows TJ is terrified of losing to someone who is already winning. Jay looks at his classmates like a bunch of fools. Suddenly he kicks it into high gear, and the gap between them starts widening faster than ever. June just wants this to end safely. Jay is cruising effortlessly, but TJ is pushing himself to the absolute limit just to stay in the game. TJ is not about to let Jay win this easily. He grits his teeth and declares that he is going to reclaim the lead on the very last hill. But Jay has already pulled off moves TJ can only dream of. June is filming everything, screaming for them to slow down because the upcoming descent is way too steep. There is a massive fence waiting at the bottom of the hill. June is terrified that one wrong move could result in a trip straight to the hospital. Neither of them has any intention of hitting the brakes, despite June's frantic warnings. Jay shows off his god-tier skills, flying down the hill without even touching the fence. He taps the barrier to keep his speed, and just keeps going. It was a total pro move that leaves everyone watching in absolute shock. But what they didn't know was that the guy behind him was in serious trouble. TJ gained way too much speed on that steep slope, and with that fence coming up, he is finished. He slams his brakes, but it is too late. He is heading straight for a nasty collision with the metal fence ahead. He slams into the fence and goes flying as his bike tumbles across the road. June, trailing behind, rushes over to see the aftermath of TJ's high-speed disaster. Jay looks back, sees the wreck, and immediately turns around to help. Once he realizes TJ is done for, he slows his pace and looks down at his rival. With that ice-cold stare, Jay calls him a loser before casually pedaling away. While TJ struggles to get up, June finally reaches him to make sure he is still alive. TJ's cuts and bruises sting, but his shattered ego hurts way worse. Meanwhile, over at the finish line, the crowd is just hanging out, killing time. Minu is busy playing bike games to keep himself entertained. When he hears they are coming back, he is shocked by how fast the race ended since he just broke his own record. Word spreads fast the sunny cyclist won. That means TJ actually lost the race to a total stranger. TJ's crew is in total shock. They cannot believe their leader lost, and they start getting worried since he still has not shown up at the finish line. Now, let's pause for a second. Minu always said it is about the rider, not the bike, and he is about to see exactly how right he was. Day looks at Mu and tells him to remember their deal. Then, he takes off his helmet and tosses it straight at Mu without saying another word. Pulling up his hood, Day tells Mu to stop bothering him at school with these stupid race stories. He walks away, leaving everyone thinking he is a total badass. Minu is dying to know the details of what went down. When he finally hears the news, his jaw drops and he asks what the hell actually happened out there. Minu sees Jay literally carrying TJ on his back and asking for a first aid kit. The crowd starts buzzing, wondering if they should call an ambulance. TJ is gritting his teeth, unable to handle the absolute humiliation of being carried by the guy who beat him. Even while injured, he is still acting like an arrogant jerk. Jay gets home to an empty house. His mom is at work, and the place is totally quiet. His brother K-Joe starts grilling him. He is sure Jay was out riding again instead of studying. Jay ignores him and just takes off his shoes. His brother keeps ranting about university and entrance exams, insisting that he cannot waste his time biking with a bunch of losers. Everything changed for Jay when the TV started playing Kitty Hour. He jumps for joy because his favorite cartoon is on, accidentally smashing his toe against a corner. He rolls around in pain, but it fades as the anime opening starts. His miserable face lights up with total fascination. Even though he acts like a tough guy, Jay is obsessed with any anime that features cute cats on the screen. Hey-Joe uses the distraction to head for the shower, hoping to wash off the stress of the day. While the water runs, he starts thinking back to the race. Race highlights flash through his head. He feels something strange that he cannot quite explain. The next morning, Jay checks his tires and realizes they were completely shredded during yesterday's race. This is a huge problem, and his brother is watching him from the doorway. Hey-Joe asks what is wrong with the bike, and wonders if Jay is really stupid enough to try riding that thing all the way to school. Watching his brother get ready, K-Joe thinks he is becoming obsessed. Jay ignores the comment about wasting energy in the morning and just keeps prepping his gear. A student should not be tired so early. Jay just says goodbye and heads out. And that is where we leave it. We are left wondering what Jay will become, but for now, his brother is frozen in fear by a random cat. Let's dive into a world where even a simple cat chase starts something that is absolutely epic. Meanwhile, Mia was sprinting for her life. She barely made it onto the bus, and today, it was packed. While she was stuck in that sweltering crowded mess, Jay was just cruising. He felt the wind on his face, ignoring the chaos of the morning traffic and everyone complaining around him. Mia felt totally out of place among the loud guys nearby, but then, she saw something through the window that made her face turn bright red. It was him, the guy she liked, just riding his bike. For a second, the miserable bus ride didn't even matter to her anymore. Even the guys on the bus realized the truth. A bike was actually faster and way more comfortable than their crowded, slow ride. Inside a luxury car nearby, one rich student was fuming. Traffic didn't care about money, and they were barely moving toward the school gates. But when he saw a lone cyclist fly past them, he told his driver he was done sitting around, he wanted to bike instead of staying trapped. As Jay pedaled along, he was joined by the principal. Turns out the big boss at school was a massive fan of cycling too. Jay looked over and saw him. The principal mentioned how perfect the morning was for a ride. To Jay, this felt totally natural for a guy like him. The principal was in peak shape from his daily commute, but Jay knew they had to be careful. Riders like them weren't always welcome on these roads. Sidewalks were a gamble and the streets were dangerous. Even the bike lanes didn't guarantee they would make it to school safely. Now, watch this. The principal tells Jay to quit talking and start pedaling. Jay just laughs, knowing both he and the student council president simply cannot afford to be late today. At the front gates, there was a huge commotion. The staff were stopping students left and right for every little uniform mistake. One second-year student got singled out for his wild style and lack of a proper uniform. He tried to slip by, but that bright orange hair was impossible to miss. The teacher asked if he'd accidentally spilled orange juice on his head. No badge, no backpack, the kid was a total walking disaster. His excuse? He left everything at school. When Jay and the principal rolled up, they saw the whole chaotic mess unfolding so early in the morning. The principal asked for the details, and the staff explained they were just following the strict new code of conduct. But the principal wasn't having it. He thought this was a terrible way to start. Honestly, these kids were almost too good looking for their own good. He wanted the school's image kept clean. He told the students they needed to start taking their attire and appearance way more seriously. They all put on their best innocent faces and promised to behave. Then, like total troublemakers, they bolted toward their classes. But the orange-haired guy stopped dead. He saw a group of stunning girls and wondered where they had been hiding all this time. Being small and cute actually worked in his favor. They invited him to lunch, and the principal just noticed his youthful charm. The janitor had to remind the principal about his morning lecture. Inside the classroom, it was the usual loud, chaotic zoo. Yuna was showing Mia a photo of the principal. Apparently it was part of the study material for today's big talk in class. He definitely had a certain style. Then Yuna noticed Mia staring out the window and asked what was so interesting. Mia was just watching Jay arrive on his bike today. Yuna started teasing her immediately, saying love was in the air, right as her own admirer with that mustache called out. Yuna's admirer tried to get her attention, so she just beamed him with a book. He actually thought that was her way of flirting. While the class was losing it, Jay was just chilling in the corner reading. Some guys were buzzing about a viral bike race video. Even the kids who hated sports were glued to the screen. Then, Minu walked by. Let's pause here, because Jay knowing the guy who filmed that viral race, that's when you know he's special. Meanwhile, Mia is proving how brave she is by staying locked in during class. Meanwhile, Mia's admirer was out cold. The whole room was bored to death, except for the guys dreaming about getting scolded by their crush. Mia kept stealing glances at Jay, just trying to see if he would finally notice she was even there. Just the thought of him looking back made her blush. He did glance her way once, but he looked totally indifferent, just staring at clouds. School was finally out, and Jay was heading for his bike. Dom Kang couldn't resist, he had to try and borrow it for a second. Jay completely ignored him. Dom was left standing there as Jade just rode away without a single word. Jade showed up and told Dom there was no way he was touching that bike. Then Dom heard Yuna's voice getting closer. He was practically glowing when he asked Yuna if she noticed his perfect skin. She just told him his face was oily. Dom wouldn't quit, telling her to stop acting like she wasn't watching him sleep. He was totally convinced she was obsessed with him. Yuna shut him down with a quick kick to the leg. Meanwhile, Jay was riding home when he heard a strange noise. A flat tire. Just his luck. And that is exactly when TJ and his crew showed up, looking for a little bit of trouble. Jay didn't even recognize him at first. He had to ask if they had actually met before, which definitely bruised his ego. Dom Kang was heading to his job, feeling great after his interaction with Yuna. He was in a serious hurry to get to work. Stick with me here, this is where things get dangerous. Dom sees Jay from a distance, and he is definitely not alone. It looks like some troublemakers are already closing in. TJ was fuming. He asked Jay if he'd slept well, because his own head still hurt from their last encounter. Stick with me, you and I are about to see a simple question turn into a full-blown war. Jay has no clue who he is talking to, making TJ lose it. Thinking he is being mocked, TJ kicks the bike, calling Jay cocky for winning with junk. Seeing his bike hit the ground, something inside Jay finally snaps and he can no longer stay calm. TJ rants about being humiliated in front of everyone, but Jay is not interested in the drama. He does not want to hear another word. With one sudden move, he punches TJ to shut him up for disrespecting his bike. At first, Jay does not look like much of a threat. His punch barely lands with any real force, but it is enough to send TJ and his crew into a total rage. The bullies swarm in, teaching Jay a brutal lesson and crushing his glasses into the pavement. TJ crouches down, mocking him, wondering how a loser like this will even show his face in class tomorrow. TJ asks if his memory is back yet, but even now, Jay has no idea who he is. Insulted, TJ decides that Jay might need a second round of pain just to help him remember their history. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. Dom Kang steps up, bold as ever, catching everyone's attention. TJ just laughs, seeing him as just another nobody who is about to get wrecked by his crew. Dom mocks them, saying it is pathetic how bullies always need a 3-on-1 advantage to fight. Without another word, he drops his heavy backpack on the ground and gets ready. Now pay attention, this is where things get wild. Dom cracks his knuckles, ready to join the fight. TJ asks if he is lost, but his companions are already starting to whisper in pure terror. They whisper to TJ, wide-eyed and terrified. They recognize Dom Kang, and they know exactly how dangerous he really is. Whatever they said worked instantly. TJ backs out, refusing to fight. He glares at Jay one last time, spitting out that he cannot stand fools from that school before walking away. TJ tells Jay to thank his lucky stars for Dom, because today he was considered lucky. The bullies vanish before things can escalate further, leaving Jay battered and bruised in the dirt. Dom feels pretty good, seeing how his reputation alone made the bullies vanish into thin air. He offers Jay a hand up, but Jay just cold shoulders him, acting like he does not need anyone's help. Jay gets up on his own, telling Dom to just mind his own business and leave. Dom is left standing there confused, wondering why everyone around him acts like they do not like him. Nearby, Minu is walking with a couple of girls, planning a fun night out at a karaoke bar together. But ahead, he crosses paths with TJ. The bully makes a nasty comment, suggesting Minu only has girls around because of his family's money. He is clearly still bitter about what happened earlier and looking for a target. Minu ignores the insult, immediately canceling his plans when he spots Jay standing further up the road. He apologizes to the girls, promising to make it up to them later. They are visibly disappointed. Dom is currently trying to explain to Jay that both his bike and his body are in bad shape. Minu rushes over, shocked by the state of Jay's face. He asks if he really got into a fight. Dom explains that a group of thugs was jumping Jay before he stepped in. Minu realizes these were the same guys who were with TJ earlier, and he knows what that means. It was obviously a revenge move. Jay just stares Minu down, asking if he is finally satisfied with the answer, then tells him to just leave him alone for good. Minu feels terrible for dragging Jay into his mess. Dom sighs, telling Jay to forget about it and never mentions the biking team again since it clearly is not worth the trouble. Still, Dom is worried about those injuries and wants to find a pharmacy. Jay refuses any help, but Dom insists that something is seriously wrong and he cannot be left alone like this. Dom offers to at least walk him home, but Jay keeps pushing him away, telling him to stay out of his life. Tired of the standoff, Dom decides it is time for a drastic move. You saw that coming, right? Dom steps in and knocks Jay unconscious with one swift hit. Minu is absolutely horrified, shouting that such a move was totally unnecessary for an injured guy. Dom defends himself, saying this was nothing compared to how others would handle it. Minu still questions how he could hit someone who was already hurt like that. Dom explains that they would have spent the whole day arguing if he had not just ended it there. He swings Jay over his shoulder, telling Minu to grab the bike. Minu asks where they are going, but Dom admits he has no idea where the guy lives either. Neither of them knows Jay's address, making the whole situation look pretty suspicious to bystanders. The girls nearby think they are being jerks. Minu eventually runs to a pharmacy to get medication and bandages. While waiting, Minu notices Dom Kang drop something important on the ground. They both stand over the sleeping Jay, completely lost. Without an address, they have no clue what they are supposed to do with him now. Just then, Keijo passes by, focused on a picture of a white cat on his phone. He is Jay's younger brother, just heading home for a minute before he has to go back to class. A loud conversation catches his attention. He spots what look like bullies standing over an unconscious body, and he starts to get a very bad feeling about this. He looks closer, recognizing that face immediately. It is Jay. His own brother is lying there, out cold in the street. Startled, he calls out Jay's name, catching the attention of Dom and Minu. They both look up, realizing this random kid might actually know the boy they are carrying. Terrified, Keijo freezes under their gaze. He thinks he is their next target and tries to act like he has never seen the guy on Dom's shoulder before in his life. Dom suspects they are family, but the kid is desperately trying to avoid eye contact. He mumbles that he does not know the boy, and calmly begins walking away. Dom is certain he is not mistaken, that kid definitely said Jay's name. Minu is watching carefully, noticing that the boy's face reminds him of someone important. Then it clicks. The kid looks exactly like a younger version of Jay. It is definitely his brother. They realize Keijo is lying. They cannot believe he is actually trying to walk away and abandon his own brother while he is unconscious. It is absolutely cold-blooded. Furious, they demand to know why he is running away. He is clearly terrified, but they are not letting him escape. Dom carries Jay while Minu grabs the bike, following the kid until everything is finally explained. It turns out Keijo thought they were the ones who beat his brother up. When asked why he ditched his brother, Keijo admits he was just scared. He thought they were going to beat him up too. Keijo says he will take care of Jay now, That is when Dom realizes he might have been a bit selfish. You and I witnessed something special. But as Jay wakes up, he is about to face a truth he is not ready for. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a story where loyalty is tested by blood and betrayal. They finally get Jay home, and Dom Kang wastes no time patching him up, doing everything possible to clean and bandage his wounds. Now it is all up to the patient. But little brother K-Jo cannot believe his brother has such unbearable friends. Minu spots a bandage under Dom Kang's nose, prompting Dom to reveal he has got a secret of his own. Super curious, Minu just rips it off to see what is hiding underneath. Seeing the truth, Minu warns that if the principal saw this, Dom Kang would be in massive trouble. Then, Minu looks around the room and asks if anyone else is actually home. Exploring the room, Minu realizes it is just a typical teenage boy's den. Meanwhile, K-Jo is staring at the security feed, claiming he is watching to make sure nothing gets stolen. The more K-Jo talks, the more Minu thinks he acts exactly like his annoying brother. Dom and Minu start rummaging through everything, until they find a photo of Jay's uncle and his childhood bike. Minu gets close to inspect the frame, but Dom finds his sudden interest a bit weird. Looking at the old photo, Dom Kang realizes there is no way that kid in the image is K-Jo. They notice the boy in the photo looks surprisingly kind, and realize it is actually Jay. Minu points out Jay has had that bike forever, but wonders why he showed up for the race. Now watch this part carefully, things are about to get really confusing. Dom Kang notices Minu is whispering, and suddenly, the boy in front of him starts looking just like Yuna. Dom Kang thinks he is hallucinating because the resemblance is uncanny, but what he did not know yet was the truth. Feeling embarrassed, Dom Kang wonders if he has just been lonely. Neither he nor Minu realize Jay and Yuna were actually twins until this very moment. Minu assumes it is just a family photo, but he still cannot quite place who the boy is. Suddenly Jay wakes up with his face covered in bandages and demands to know what they are doing. Minu and Dom just trade glances, asking if he finally woke up after his big crash. Jay gets up and snatches the photo away. Furious, he tells them to keep their dirty hands off his stuff and get out. Minu holds up a mirror, showing Jay his reflection and explaining they were only there to look after him and his injuries. Dom Kang looks proud, claiming he does not need thanks since he was just doing his duty. Then, in seconds, he rips all the bandages right off Jay's face. Jay is not in the mood for an argument. He is exhausted and just wants them gone. But Dom Kang puts a hand on his shoulder, asking if he is really that cold to them. Minu and Dom conclude that Jay really lacks kindness, especially since they were only trying to help him out. That is when they decide to open Pandora's box and check Jay's computer. Jay is fuming, telling them to stay away, but they completely ignore him and dive in anyway. While Minu pins Jay down, Dom Kang starts judging everything Jay has been looking at and studying on the computer. Smiling, Dom Kang tells Jay he is about to show him a dark path to a new world. He says Jay should be happy they met, despite Jay's angry protests. Meanwhile, K-Jo decides it is better to head to class than waste more time. Finally, Dom Kang finishes setting up a secret link on the screen. I know what you are thinking, but trust me, this is where it gets wild. Jay's brother opens the door and realizes they have found the forbidden world. Everyone gathers around the desk, staring intensely at the content Dom Kang put on the computer. Even though he is blushing like everyone else, Jay's brother is furious that these idiots downloaded junk files. He complains his computer is a total mess, while nervously checking to see if someone is approaching. Before Jay's brother can delete anything or review the files, Jay suddenly returns. This time, Jay is back to deliver a message from their mother. Outside, Minu and Dom discuss the video, with Minu suggesting they should hang out with K-Jo more often. Minwang agrees to meet at school tomorrow since they both have things to do, but Minu remembers his after-school job. Minu wants the day to end on a high note. When his phone rings, he decides this is the perfect opportunity to strike. Mew calls the whole team together for an emergency meeting that night. He makes it clear that TJ and his entire gang must be there for this. Everyone gathers as requested, but the complaints are already flying. Hearing them, TJ just smirks and says if anyone has a problem, they should take it up directly with Mew. Some wonder if something went down between Mew and TJ, since TJ's presence was specifically demanded. Playing dumb, TJ says it is not the first time Mew has acted up, but June argues that Mew started this team and deserves to be heard regardless. June insists there must be a good reason for this late meeting, but TJ accuses him of just defending his friend. That comment hits a nerve, but before June can snap back, he notices Mew finally arriving at the scene. Mew walks in looking dead serious, like something major just went down. TJ is totally unfazed and keeps cracking jokes. Getting even more irritated, Mew adjusts his jacket and takes off his ring. He decides this changed everything and just punches TJ squarely in his face. The blow sends TJ crashing to the ground, needing help to stand. Nobody can believe what they just saw. The crew demands an explanation for this crazy behavior. Mew tells TJ to stop slandering the team and leave while he can still walk. The declaration shocks everyone. Angry, TJ asks why the hell Mew just punched him so suddenly. Minu tells him to stop playing dumb, saying he does not want losers like TJ attacking their members. Smirking, TJ asks if he means that idiot student council president. He claims it is obvious Minu does not realize the other guy was the one who actually started it. TJ boldly asserts that Minu is the one who should leave the team. Minu realizes TJ is trying to take over as the situation spirals out of control. And trust me, you and I are about to see this team split right down the middle. Stick with me, you are about to see the exact moment Minu finally snaps and tells his team to say it to his face. The team lashes out, whining about sudden meetings and admitting that even though TJ is not official yet, he might actually have a point. They argue that nobody should be kicked out without a vote, especially since Minu dragged them here just to exile TJ. Smirking, TJ turns to Minu and makes sure he knows exactly how much everyone hates his leadership. Now watch closely, TJ gets personal, mocking Minu for his injured leg, and claiming he is too busy chasing girls to actually ride anymore. He sneers that Minu should just buy his own club with his father's money since he is so rich. That is when June finally steps in, telling them they have gone way too far. Minu has heard enough. He proposes a winner-takes-all race to decide who stays in Team Zephus. June knows this is a disaster waiting to happen. You and I know Minu is hurting, but he accepts anyway. TJ laughs, wondering how a cripple can race, and demands a 3 versus 3 showdown. The stakes are set, losers leave the team forever. Minu, being an absolute savage, says he will happily take on all 3 of them alone. June refuses to let him suffer alone and joins the squad, but with nobody else stepping up for the 3rd spot, it is Sunny High versus Mountain High in a brutal showdown. TJ mocks the crowd, asking if any other idiots want to volunteer for a losing team and get kicked out with the rest of them. Total silence. The deal is sealed. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see if they can survive this 2 against 3 suicide mission. Trust me, you and I are about to see how a boring day for Minu, TJ, and June turns into something absolutely legendary. That is exactly what happens to one student who dreams of gathering magical spheres to summon a giant dragon. A legendary beast capable of granting any wish imaginable. Now pay attention here, he wishes for a body like Chris Hemsworth. What he didn't know was that the dragon's solution was a single magical mushroom. He takes a bite, but then, after feeling intense agony, he transforms completely. This changed everything, and suddenly, every young woman's heart starts racing. You and I just watched him become a handsome man in a classic Chesterfield coat that hides a massive muscular physique. But this new look, it changes everything. Alright, you and I are looking at the ultimate charmer. A man every girl wants to call theirs. Now watch this. He offers to charge for every heartbeat, and they happily pay, pulling him close to hear them all. Trust me, we have never seen a main character work a room like this. Pretty wild, right? Stick with me, you and I have all been here. Out cold and drooling on a desk while a distant voice calls our name. Watch closely, but then, waking up to his classmate meant his life was a dream. Trust me, it only gets crazier. Alright, you and I are starting with Shin-Yong grilling him after he mutters about a bunch of girls crowding his space. He just brushes it off as nothing, before thanking her for the milk she brought. Alright, you and I are starting with a real piece of work. He calls her little water to discourage her, while chugging milk and imagining the smooth calcium makes him grow taller. Alright, you and I are diving into a world where high stakes and brotherhood collide. But then, a sudden headlock makes him choke and waste most of his milk. While one girl blocks another's path, a student captures the bromance on camera, not missing a single hilarious second of the action. Passing by in the background, June and Minu ask what the plan is for the team. The answer is obvious. Minu plans to win and kick TJ out. But what they didn't know was how Minu could possibly race on a broken leg. Minu just laughs it off, claiming light cycling is exactly what the doctor ordered for recovery. His friend warns that a little cycling won't save them from the massive disadvantage they face in the relay. When he suggests asking Jay for help, Minu immediately shuts the idea down for good. Minu doesn't want to involve Jay in team business anymore. But pay attention here, because while the board student council president is busy drawing little bicycles, a mysterious envelope suddenly lands right on top of his desk. Looking up, Jay realizes it is Mia bringing him something to treat his recent injuries. She is clearly worried, but Jay's cold response makes her slam the desk in pure frustration. She snaps at Jay, telling him that when a girl shows interest and tries to help, he should at least be polite and say thank you. Mia is furious because her friend was crushed all morning over his injuries. Mia is totally embarrassed by the comments, and things get worse when Dom Kang arrives. Dom Kang wraps an arm around Jay, asking if he is tired from staying up all night. Yuna is shocked, having no idea that these two were actually friends this whole time. Kang says they bonded over a computer screen, leaving the girls completely confused. A senior wants to talk to Jay in the hallway. Dom Kang jokingly thinks Jay is getting too popular for his own good, but he just shrugs it off and heads over to Yuna. We both feel those dating rumors starting as Yuna showers Dom Kang with plenty of affection, and the two are definitely starting to act a bit strange lately. While the girls gossip about them, they fail to notice a handsome third-year student nearby. June is easygoing, but the girls whisper about rumors that he isn't even interested in women. Jun overhears the awkward gossip about himself, but his expression shifts instantly once he catches a glimpse of the bruises all over Jay's face. Jun is still in the dark about TJ, but he realizes this must be the real reason Mew has been so furious lately. Noticing Jay's blank stare, Jun starts to wonder if his friend even remembers him, or if Jay is actually struggling with some kind of facial recognition issue. Jay finally remembers, and trust me, you and I are going to want to see the chaos coming next. Alright, let us dive in because this gets wild. Jun asks for a favor after Mew saw Jay, causing total chaos. He hates involving Jay, but then watch closely, he simply cannot abandon a friend. This changed everything, and honestly, you and I are about to see if Jay survives. Stick with me, we are about to see if a broken team can survive without their ace. Jun begged him to reconsider, explaining that if Minu loses this race, he is kicked off the team for good. Jay just asked why he should even care. Despite the cold shoulder, Jun dropped the details 8 p.m. at the old spot. He told Jay if he has a change of heart, they will be waiting right there for him. The crew was already at the starting line, and everyone was placing bets on who would win. With expulsion on the line, the tension was through the roof. While Jun prepped his gear, Mew felt the pressure too, but he told Jun it was finally time to settle this. It was already 8 minutes past the start time, and Jay was still nowhere to be found. Jun started to panic, knowing they were doomed without Jay. TJ's team felt untouchable, especially with a 3 versus 2 advantage that gave them the upper hand from the very beginning. Jun noticed TJ added a brake to his bike, likely a scar from that brutal crash last time. Jun pointed out the new 8mm carbon wheel, but TJ just laughed it off, mocking Mew for being off his bike for so long and looking a bit rusty. TJ told Mew to take it easy or he might snap his other leg too. Fed up with the trash talk, Mew signaled that it was time to move. Just as the rules were being set, a girl on a scooter roared in. Her bold entrance instantly killed the conversation and had every guy on the street staring in total awe. She pulled off her helmet, relieved she wasn't late, and introduced herself to the crowd as Harry Lee. She explained she was a commentator for a bike show on Paprika Television. She'd heard rumors about this underground race and had to see it herself. When she shook out her hair, her looks left the guys speechless. She asked the group if they would mind if she live-streamed the race for her fans. Mew played it smooth, saying it would be an honor. TJ loved the idea, he couldn't wait to humiliate Mew in front of a massive online audience. Now pay attention, the 4G is up, and the stream is live. Fans are watching this battle to see who stays in the group. The official, who had been distracted by Harry, finally got back to business. He explained the relay rules. Instead of batons, they would use LED bracelets. You just had to apply enough pressure, and they would snap right onto the next racer's wrist. He showed them exactly how it worked by snapping the bracelet onto himself. Basically, get the bracelets to the checkpoints first to win. But remember the stakes, the losing team is getting kicked out of the crew for good. This changed everything. The official asked if the smaller team was really ready to do this. With a 3 versus 2 disadvantage, things were looking pretty lopsided right from the jump. The leader told him to back off, saying it didn't matter at all how many members the other team actually had. They agreed to no excuses and no complaints. The first racers stepped up to the line and grabbed their armbands. It was time to go. It was Minu versus TJ first. They were already sparking as they prepped. Harry Lee announced to her viewers that the Sunny versus Mountain High showdown was finally starting. She checked her camera angle, making sure she captured every high-speed moment for the fans. TJ was ready to crush his rivals. For Mountain High, it was Hyungmin against Jun. Mew warned that this first leg was full of tight curves, so raw bike power wouldn't be enough to win here. Jun was worried, could he really pull off these last stretches with his leg in this condition? The real problem was TJ Jun didn't know when he would ride, and he had to figure it out fast. With 0 options left, Jun's friend took the first leg, leaving Jun to focus everything on his own run. Jun told his friend not to overdo it since he was already set to handle the rest. The racers lined up as everyone else pulled out their phones to watch the live feed. Harry got into position to film. They announced the start signal. The race begins the second the falling gear hits the pavement. The official held the metal gear by his fingertips, letting it hover before dropping it slowly. The moment it hit, they took off like rockets. It was a fierce start, with Jun's team holding their own. Harry followed closely on her scooter, helmet cam rolling. The blue armband meant Mountain High, and the red one was for Sunny High. The chase was officially on. You and I can see the lead changing already. Mountain High is in front, and the chat is absolutely blowing up. Back at the finish line, the crowd was glued to their screens, watching every single pedal stroke in anticipation. Jun was giving it his all, but he lacked Mew's raw talent. His rival started mocking him, asking if that was his best. Despite the clear struggle, the Sunny High racer was pushing hard, closing the gap, and almost catching up to the leader. Sunny High suspected Jun was planning a sneak attack since he wasn't biting on the insults. He decided he needed to open up a bigger lead now. The leader pushed his pace to the absolute limit, pedaling like his life depended on it. But somehow, the distance between them stayed exactly the same. Even though he was still ahead, the pressure was suffocating. It felt like the guy behind him could pounce at any second. That is when he realized June was slipstreaming. He was quiet, but he had a deadly strategy in play. Harry noticed it too and explained to the stream that June was using the leader to break the wind resistance. It is a technique often seen in pro motorcycle races. Harry called it a brilliant move for a high school street race. Trust me, you and I are about to see if this slipstream pays off or if overtaking is actually impossible. Alright, you and I are diving into the most intense cycling race ever. No one believed it was possible, but the rival racer thinks the final hill will change everything. As the Sunny High competitor blasts past June, he gives a quick thanks for the slipstream. This makes his opponent furious, but the real blow is the overtake itself. Sunny High is now leading, and from here on, it is all about raw muscle power. The leader clicks into a heavier gear, pedaling with everything he has got. The riders behind him instantly spot the move. He is going all out now. The announcement rings out. The Sunny High racer with the red armband has taken the lead. It is a massive upset. He is crushing the uphill climb while Mountain High's racer falls behind. The gap is widening by the second. At this rate there is just no time left to catch up. Watching the live stream, June's friends are losing their minds. Meanwhile, the guy in second place is stuck wondering how June can climb that fast. Further up the road, the relay racers are ready for the final leg. Then, the hum of Harry Lee's scooter starts getting louder. The finish line is finally in sight. Minu tells his opponent it is time to get ready, and even offers some good luck. He actually thinks his rival has a chance, but Minu has no idea what is coming. He does not realize who is actually about to cross that line first. Now watch this part carefully. Minu asks Juwon if their teammate can catch up, but then, the worst happens. He sees it with his own eyes. It is June. June points toward the path and Mu spots the rider coming in hot. Jiwon's face drops. This is a massive disaster for their entire team. June is flying solo in the lead with nobody even close. Mu looks on with pure pride, knowing exactly what his friend is capable of, and June flashes a smile. Feeling the hype, Mu tells his opponent the end is near. June rips off his bracelet, perfectly timed for the handoff to his teammate. June wishes Mu luck and takes off, fueled by pure determination. The commentator screams that Sunny School's second racer has the bracelet, and is already pulling away. Online, the fans are convinced that if Mu keeps this pace, the win is theirs. Harry is trailing right behind the Sunny School rider on her scooter. She can see he is leading by a mile. He is seconds away from entering the third and final segment of this brutal race. His teammates are watching every move, noting his insane speed. They know Mu and June are putting everything on the line together. Meanwhile, June grabs an energy drink to refuel, but he looks worried. He is just hoping his friend does not push too hard and destroy his already injured leg. The thought won't leave him. He keeps picturing the horrific accident that left Mu with a permanent injury in the first place. June is trapped in those memories until he spots a familiar face. Back in the race, Minu is giving it his all. If he loses, June gets kicked off the team. But then, disaster strikes. Minu's leg starts throbbing with a pain so intense he can barely breathe. Waiting for his turn, TJ is getting anxious. He loses his cool when someone mentions he might be the one getting expelled if they lose this. The rivals are already ahead, and TJ is seeing red. He can tell they are loving every second of this. You and I both know TJ was waiting for a handoff, but what he sees next is a total nightmare. It is the red bracelet. The rival is already miles ahead. Everyone is stunned. The speed is so high, it looks more like a motorbike than a bicycle. TJ is absolutely livid. His teammate should have been here ages ago, and now the race is nearly impossible. Miles behind, his teammate is struggling just to keep the pedals moving. Meanwhile, thousands of people are glued to their phones, watching Sunny School enter the final stretch. Mountain School's second racer is still lagging way behind. The gap is just too big. Even drying off after a shower, the commentator notes the lead is growing. This actually pleases Mu's former friend, who clearly still cares about their old bond. On the road, Mu is pedaling through pure agony, but as he hits top speed, he suddenly sees a cat playing with a ball right in his path. There is no time to react. Mu slams the brakes to miss the cat, but the force snaps something in his injured leg. With no support left, Mu hits the pavement with a sickening crash. The commentator describes the horror live, and the entire internet goes silent. June is absolutely crushed by the news. As Mu lies there on the cold ground, he realizes his race is officially over. The commentator rushes to give first aid, and announces a temporary break in the broadcast. She cuts the feed, leaving every single viewer in total suspense. June knew this would happen. Minu should have never raced on that leg. Unaware of the crash, TJ is still pedaling like a madman, thinking he can win. But as he rounds the bend, he sees the wrecked bike, Mu on the ground, and the commentator helping him. For TJ, this is the perfect moment. He can't help but smile, knowing this outcome was bound to happen. Racing on a bad leg was a suicide mission from the start, and TJ feels his luck is finally turning. Mew struggles to see through the haze as his vision clears. Harry Lee asks if he can stand, but then Mew notices someone else. It is Jay, looking down and asking what he is doing on the floor. Mew tells him to stop staring and just finish the job. Jay reaches down and takes the bracelet off Mew's arm, which catches everyone by surprise. But then, without a word, Jay snaps the bracelet onto his own arm. He remembers leaving a note for his brother saying he was just fixing his bike. But his little brother knew exactly what Jay was really going to do. June tries to explain the rules, but Minu insists Jay does not have to do this. Jay just looks at him and says there is no misunderstanding. He says he is only here to settle business. Trust me, you and I need to see where this goes. Alright, you and I are about to watch the most insane bike race comeback of all time. Jay looks at the nasty sweaty helmet, wondering if he really has to wear this trash. Mew just snaps at him saying his own gear smells fine while Jay's is absolutely unbearable. June sees Minu and Jay are still healthy enough to argue, so she gets back in the race. As she hops on her scooter, she spots a familiar bike. Way ahead, TJ is literally singing as he nears the finish line. TJ thinks this race is a total joke, and actually starts feeling sorry for Mew. Honestly, he thinks the guy shouldn't have tried racing while totally busted up like that. TJ finds it pretty boring to finish this whole race all by himself. But Mew is actually smiling because a monster is right on TJ's tail. TJ looks back and cannot believe a cyclist is actually gaining on him. The speed is godlike. When he looks closer, he realizes it's Jay. TJ's eyes go wide. He has no idea what Jay is even doing there. That's when it hits him this won't be easy. TJ starts pedaling for his life, knowing his school's reputation is on the line. He sees Jay's skill and realizes he's a beast. It feels like he's being hunted down by a literal mad dog. With the finish line so close, TJ refuses to lose. He's convinced that nobody can overtake him on the steep downhill section just ahead. TJ thinks the only way to lock in this victory is to outrun Jay on the descent. Even with Jay's insane pressure, TJ sticks to the plan as he hits the slope. But deep down, he knows this isn't going to be a simple win anymore. As he picks up speed, old fears of crashing come flooding back. TJ slams on his brakes in terror, losing his lead in a single painful split second. Now pay attention, because this is where Jay shows why he's a literal monster on the downhill. Jay's bike literally doesn't have brakes, but he doesn't care. He pulls off a wild 180-degree drift right on the slope. This stuff is routine for him. He finishes the move and just keeps flying, leaving TJ in the dust. TJ is furious, knowing one more mistake means he's kicked off the team. But then, way up ahead, Jay suddenly sighs and comes to a stop. TJ sees him waiting and screams at him to get out of the way. He demands to know what Jay is trying to pull. Jay just stands there staring. TJ panics and slams his brakes, praying he can stop his bike before he smashes right into Jay's face at high speed. Jay doesn't even flinch. TJ stops just inches away, screaming at Jay and asking if he's totally lost his mind for stopping right in his path like a lunatic. Jay calmly explains he's only here because TJ kicked his bike yesterday. Then he hits TJ with a question that catches him off guard. He wants to settle this and see who is actually fast. Jay is ready to return the favor and give TJ a real challenge right now. Jay declares they'll have a no-rules race for the final stretch to the finish line. Jay looks at TJ's carbon bike and wonders if it's actually fast. TJ thinks he's joking, no way that junk bike beats his lightweight gear. I know what you're thinking, Burn. Jay tells him not to blame the bike, but to blame himself instead. TJ tells him to shut up and get moving. They both line up and explode off the starting mark with everything they've got. Both are desperate to win. At first, TJ's expensive carbon bike takes a tiny lead by just a few millimeters. TJ smiles as Jay lags behind, but what he didn't know is that Jay was just warming up. Jay hammers the pedals with incredible power and momentum to overtake him. TJ can't believe he's losing his victory to some random guy who appeared out of nowhere with a junk bike. Meanwhile, the others see Mew and June returning. They ask if Mew is okay, and if he's really in that much pain. Mew admits he messed up the race because his leg wasn't healed. June reminds him that she warned him this was a reckless move. Being that irresponsible was a huge mistake. A downcast Mew finally admits he shouldn't have raced while injured. Harry Lee says Mew is lucky he didn't get hurt worse after a high-speed crash like that. TJ's team thinks they've already won, but then they see someone approaching alongside Jay with a red flag. They're left wondering who this mystery rider could be. They only have 2 members and don't recognize anyone else from Sunny School. Jay has the lead, and TJ is completely powerless. For TJ, this feels like the end. He just can't understand why his expensive gear is losing to a bike he considers absolute junk. At the finish line, everyone is stunned when they finally recognize the person holding that red flag. It's the Sunny School Council president, someone known for being unfriendly. People start shouting that this 2 versus 3 race is totally unfair for their team. Jay crosses the line with total indifference, while TJ is crushed. He's lost to the same guy yet again, and looks absolutely dejected. Jay takes off his helmet and says it looks like the bike wasn't the junk. TJ is furious, taking it as a personal insult. Just as TJ is about to fight, People remind him that Jay isn't even officially part of the team. Nobody gets why this outsider interfered in the race. It makes zero sense for a non-team member to jump into a real competition. Minu clarifies that he accepted the terms regardless of the result. He says the moment he fell, the race was already over for them anyway. So what do you and I take from this? The race might be over, but the real war has only just begun. Alright, you and I are about to watch a top-tier fall from grace in the most brutal way possible. Minu looks back, tells them to take care of the team, and leaves. Minu is heartbroken, but he knows there is nothing more he can do to change this outcome. June leaves with Minu. He feels terrible about losing the race, but for June it is not a big deal. She is just happy to walk away and start a new team together. Jay tosses a helmet toward Minu. Catching it, Minu thanks him for the support during the race, unaware that everything was about to change for him. Jay just ignores him and rides off on his bike. He has not changed at all. Meanwhile, Harry Lee notices something very familiar about the bike Jay is riding. Minu limps forward as his leg throbbed with pain, refusing to show weakness. June sees right through it and offers to give him a ride home. Minu snaps that he is not a kid and can get home fine. Meanwhile, the winner TJ is not celebrating. This victory feels empty and hollow. This is the second time he has felt the sting of a true defeat. While his friends celebrate, TJ stays behind, completely lost in his own head. He is haunted by the humiliation of the race. But then, someone approaches him and mocks the bitter look on his face, cutting right through his pride. TJ stands up ready for a fight, but he freezes when he realizes it is Vinnie Hong. Vinnie asks if he is the fool brave enough to challenge him. Seeing his old friend is a huge relief. TJ smiles and asks what he is doing there. But Vinnie just jokes about being allowed to hang out. Vinnie says he watched the whole race. From what he saw, it looked like Mu's leg was doing just fine out there. TJ's crew calls Minu a total fool. They won the race, and as they agreed, Minu is officially kicked off the team for good. Vinnie jokes that the mice are playing while the cat is away. Surprisingly, the three guys who competed against Mu's team actually seem like decent people. Vinnie notes that the team is disbanded and dead. TJ realizes that Minu is not even part of his world anymore. He is just gone. Vinnie is curious about Mu's next move. He's impressed by the performance but warns that Minu really needs to be careful with that injured leg. Then Vinnie drops a bombshell he is leaving his own team. TJ is left standing there, completely lost and confused by what that means. Now watch this part carefully. Everything he ever built just went up in smoke as he finally arrives at his front door, feeling completely broken and defeated by the world. His father is right there, screaming at him. He wants to know why Minu is out on the streets instead of home studying like he was told. His stepmother plays the peacemaker, calling it a teenage phase. But you can feel the toxic tension radiating through the air in this house. She notices the cut on his face and reaches out, asking if he fell off his bike. She tries to examine the wound, acting concerned. Minu snaps. He tells her to get her hands off him. She's stunned he's never been this disrespectful in front of his father before. His father loses it, punching him and calling him a thug. Things just went from bad to absolute worst for our main character. Minu doesn't even flinch. He accuses his stepmother of being a gold digger who only wanted his father's money the moment his real mother was gone. His father is blinded by rage, shouting about the money and the expensive bike he bought for Minu over the years. He demands Mu's wallet and every single card. In total defiance, Minu throws it all on the ground. He does not need a cent of his money. That was the final straw. His father, fueled by frustration, kicks him out of the house and tells him never to come back. His twin sister watches from the window, absolutely devastated. She pulls back into the shadows, quietly whispering that this is all her fault. You saw that too, right? He's gone from having everything to absolutely nothing, sitting alone in a dark corner with zero money and nowhere left to go. No money, no team, no home. Then he sees a happy family walk by, and the sight of their joy feels like a knife to the chest. The sight of those kids reminds him of his mother. Her memory is the only thing bringing him any comfort during these dark days. He used to be a happy young man, living in a house full of love and laughter. Back then, he promised to always take care of his sisters and his mother. But now, all he can do is sit on this bench and cry. The tears just won't stop as he realizes how complicated his life has truly become. Suddenly, the silence breaks. Someone is at the vending machine right behind him, grabbing an energy drink and watching him closely. Jay is standing right there, mocking him for crying like a baby over a loss. Minu tries to act tough, but Jay clearly isn't buying the act. Jay turns to leave, but Minu stops him. He's desperate enough to ask for a favor. When Jay looks back, he asks what Minu could possibly want. Minu beams, asking if he can crash at Jay's place for the night, totally sure the answer will be yes. Jay just walks away without a word. Minu persists, begging for just one night since he has zero money and nowhere else to go. Jay says it is not his problem. To Minu, he looks like a heartless demon for leaving him stranded in the middle of the night. Minu keeps begging, but Jay is done. He needs to go study, and suggests Minu find literally anyone else to help him out. Minu says he has nobody else left, but Jay makes it clear he is definitely not the right person to help him. That's when the harsh reality hits home. They were just schoolmates, nothing more. He's got no team, no home, and he's truly alone. He realizes the people around him only cared about his social status. Not one person actually gave a damn about the real him. They were only chasing his father's shadow, and the massive wealth that came with being a prominent businessman's son. So what do you and I take from this? Sometimes the people you trust the most are the first ones to let you fall when the money runs out. Alright, stick with me, because we're about to see how a guy who hid behind masks his entire life finally found a way to stop being alone. As a kid, Mu found his ultimate escape through cycling. 2 wheels became his sanctuary, leading him to form a crew and finally start feeling alive. At first, they were just a bunch of people who loved to ride. They called themselves Team Zephus. But then, Mu lost everything, even his team. Things only got worse when the rain started pouring, but then he spotted a tiny cat shivering alone in the cold. Looking closer, he realized he'd seen this cat before. Was this the same stray that caused him to crash once? He had to know. For a second, anger flared up, but it vanished when he saw its mangled paw. Compassion hit him harder than any fall ever could. Blaming a cat wouldn't fix his life, so he shared his food instead. The little creature was surprisingly gentle, eating right from his hand. Mu realized the tiny kitten was stuck because of its injury. He scooped up the wet, shivering thing, and felt a strange connection. They were both alone. Nearby, a boy with an umbrella was heading home when he saw a total stranger standing in the pouring rain right in front of his house. He recognized Mu as one of the idiots hanging with his brother, but he had no clue why the guy was just standing there. Mu fired back with a sarcastic comment about the kid being a pest, but the boy's eyes were locked on the cat. That was his priority. Inside, the boy watched the rain and felt a tug on his conscience. He grabbed an umbrella and headed back out to check on him. Check this out, he finds his brother coming in with the cat tucked safely in his arms. Where did this even come from? His brother explained the poor thing was freezing, so he brought it in. Mu actually felt a spark of respect for the kid's genuine heart, but the boy made it clear. He only saved the cat. Mu just happened to be there when it happened. Mu realized expecting kindness from this irritating kid was a mistake. Meanwhile, Jay watched his brother carefully clean and feed the little stray. Suddenly, Jay was face to face with Mu in his own living room. Mu promised to leave the second the rain stopped and went quiet. Out of nowhere, a towel hit Mu's head. Jay pointed to the bathroom and told him to go get a shower. Mu was stunned but appreciative, even if he didn't say it. Jay snapped that this was a one-time thing, so don't get any big ideas. Jay's younger brother thought the whole thing was weird, but Mu insisted he wasn't some homeless guy. After the shower, he felt like new. Nothing beats a hot shower and a warm house. Starving, Mu headed straight for the fridge to see what they were eating tonight. That's when Jay's mother walked in, asking about the random bike outside. She froze when she saw Mu, a total stranger, raiding her refrigerator in the dark. Startled, Mu greeted her politely. She instantly recognized him. He was the son of one of the most powerful people in town. You and I both know how much a home-cooked meal can change a guy's mood. She started cooking, telling him to make himself at home. Jay's mother was impressed her son had such a high-status friend. Jay just flatly replied that they weren't friends at all. The younger brother piped up, reminding Mom she always said friends were useless. She shut him down fast with a flying chicken drumstick. She told him to finish eating and get to studying for his exams. But then, a soft meow echoed through the kitchen. She saw the cat on the stairs and demanded answers. The younger brother, already in trouble, immediately pointed at Mu and blamed him for everything. He dumped all the blame on Mu and ran to hug the kitten. Apparently he'd already named the little guy Jack. Jay and his mom realized the cat was already part of the family. She tried to suggest returning it later, but the boy wasn't listening. Covered in sauce and clutching the cat, the kid just pretended he was going to follow her rules. We all know how that ends. Noticing the bruises on their faces, she asked if they'd been fighting. Jay slammed back some soda to avoid having to say a word. The pressure fell on Mu, who stumbled through a story about fighting some random guys. Jay's mother went into a total rage, demanding to know which school those punks were from so she could hunt them down. Mu lied, saying he wasn't sure because they were just wearing casual clothes. Mu tried to talk her down, promising her that it would never happen again. Jay finished his dinner and headed to his room in silence. His mother sighed, mentioning that his grades were starting to slip. She warned him that if he didn't improve, the bike was gone. Jay just gave a cold okay and disappeared upstairs. Mu followed him up since they were sharing the room. He saw Jay on the computer and asked what he was up to. Soon, Mu was already sprawled on the bed, loving how soft it was and how full his stomach felt. Half asleep, Mu admitted that Jay's life was actually pretty tough with all that academic pressure, but deep down, he envied Jay for having a mother who was actually present and spoiled him like that. Jay killed the lights and tried to kick him off the bed. Mu insisted he needed the mattress and suggested they just share it. Annoyed, Jay moved to the floor. Then, he actually asked when Mu first started cycling. Mu remembered seeing a kid in the park and thinking it looked like fun. He wondered if that kid was still a pro rider today. That's when Moo pitched the idea of forming a real team together. Jay just told him to shut up and sleep. So what do you and I think? Is this the start of the ultimate crew, or is Minu just dreaming? Alright, you and I are about to see the unlikeliest roommates ever. Jay finds out his mom invited Minu to stay indefinitely, which is basically Jay's worst nightmare come true. This whole situation really grinds Jay's gears. Meanwhile, Minu starts preparing for a long stay by texting his sister to bring over some fresh clothes. Minu tells her he is crashing at Jay's place tonight. His sister demands the address immediately so she can drop off his gear before the morning. Sleep hits Minu hard, but he wakes up to the heavenly scent of home cooking. Still half asleep, he stumbles into the kitchen to see what is on the menu. He expects to see Jay's mom, but his blurry vision clears to reveal a shocker. It is Jay, standing over the stove wearing a hilarious cat print apron. Jay explains his mom left for work early. Minu loses it, laughing at the top of his lungs. He asks if this cat apron is some weird kind of cosplay. Minu reaches for his phone to post this masterpiece on social media, but he is laughing so hard he cannot even hold the camera steady. He asks about Jay's little brother, who is already outside. It is weird seeing the kid up this early just to play with Jack the cat. Minu spots a delicious plate and thinks it is a welcome breakfast. He is already holding his spoon, but then he realizes this food isn't for him. When he asks where that food is going, Jay reveals it is for the cat. Minu is starving and cannot believe the cat is eating better than he is. Jay tells him to cook for himself and leaves. But meanwhile, across the city, the principal of Sunny High is starting his morning routine. Now pay attention, because this phone call changes everything. It is Shelly calling her grandfather to share some truly massive news. She is returning to Korea soon and cannot wait to see him. The principal is beaming, telling her he will be waiting. This mystery blonde girl has a bike in her room, clearly sharing Jay's passion for cycling. Back at the house, Minu is meticulously cleaning his own ride. Suddenly his sister Yuna shows up. She has brought the bag of clothes he asked for, but she looks less than thrilled. Yuna asks what he is up to, and Minu explains he is just drying the bike after it got soaked yesterday. Yuna is tired of his obsession. She hands over the bag and tells him to stop being stubborn and just come home where she can watch their father. She is genuinely shocked that Minu would rather stay here, and even more surprised that Jay is actually being nice enough to let him. Minu says that even though Jay is a total hardhead, things are fine. Yuna offers him a ride to school, but he proudly turns her down. He's determined to bike there, and even tells her she should try cycling. She just rolls her eyes and tells him not to be late. As she drives off, Kay appears out of nowhere and asks if that pretty girl was Minu's girlfriend. Minu is completely caught off guard. He shouts that he would never date someone that ugly and explains she is just his sister. Then he asks how long the kid has been there. How long had Kay been hiding there? Kay ignores him and roasts Minu instead, saying a delinquent crashing at a friend's house could never get a girl. Minu is ready to lose his mind. Kay says his goodbyes to Jack the cat, asking the feline to watch the house while he is away at school. Minu is left with the cat until Jay appears. When Minu asks if they are biking to school today, Jay gives him a cold, silent glance. Minu admits he is totally broke and has no bus money. He suggests they ride together since biking with a partner is way more fun. Let's watch them hit the road. This is where the journey really starts. Minu hates the bike path, complaining about all the trees and obstacles in the way. Jay doesn't care. He is used to the local chaos. Minu suggests taking the park route, or maybe just skipping class entirely to keep riding. One look from Jay tells him that idea will not fly. He notices Jay isn't wearing a helmet and offers to buy him one. Then he remembers he has no money and quickly drops the subject. Jay tells him to stop talking nonsense and just focus on pedaling. Minu challenges him to a race, but Jay is not interested. School is as loud and chaotic as ever. Mia and Yuna are in the middle of a deep conversation. Mia cannot believe Jay and Minu are actually becoming friends. Yuna agrees, noting that their bond seems to be growing stronger every day. Mia jokes that Yuna should watch her wording or people might get ideas. They plan a student council meeting at a local cafe for the weekend. Mia worries if Jay will actually agree to a meeting outside the school grounds. Yuna says the girls in the department will pressure him into it. Mia is excited, hoping this is her big chance for a real date. Yuna promises to help set them up. Mia gets embarrassed, claiming she doesn't need that much help with her love life. Dom Kang overhears and tries to worm his way into the meeting. He wants in on the action too. Yuna shuts him down fast since he is not on the council. He offers to be her assistant, but she is not having any of it. He invites her to a movie later, and Mia thinks they would actually make a cute couple together. Yuna hates horror movies though. Just then Mia looks out and sees the boys arriving at school on their bikes. The weather is perfect, and Mia wants to buy a bike now too. Yuna suggests she should have Jay teach her how to ride. Dom Kang shouts that he is getting a bike too, but Yuna could not care less about his plans. You and I just saw the calm before the storm because once these bikes start rolling there is no turning back. Stick with me, you and I are about to witness a school day turn into absolute chaos. The class leader kills the vibe, and the boys are powerless. But then Mu rolls in with his bicycle, parking it right in the classroom. One of the guys is confused why on earth would he bring that bike inside. Mu just asks if he knows what this ride is worth. No way is he leaving it outside. When he drops the price tag, the poor guy is absolutely floored. It is beyond insane. He jokes that for that much money, the bike might as well be made of solid gold. He still wants a ride, but one look at that high seat, and he is done. Meanwhile, Yuna tracks down Jay to talk about the next student council meeting. Everyone wants a cafe meeting, and she asks Jay what he thinks. He is clearly not a fan, but Yuna just decides for him and walks off humming. Later, Yuna tells Mia everything is going perfectly. She pushes her to dress up and make a massive impression at the meet. Just the thought has Mia blushing hard. She is not used to glamming up, and back in her room, she is facing a total fashion crisis. What do you even wear to a meeting this special? Clothes are everywhere as she tries on outfit after outfit, desperately searching for the perfect look. Hair and makeup are a mess too, but her panic is cut short by the sharp ring of her phone. It is Yuna. She is already on her way, and wants to know if Mia is ready. Mia panics, promising she will be down in just 5 minutes. Out of time, she grabs a dress that looks okay and does her best to get ready. It is a total race against the clock. Over at Jay's place, things are way too quiet. Minu is bored, broke, and complaining while watching couples and some cat-obsessed guy walk past outside. He sees Jay heading out and asks where he is going. Jay just casually mentions the student council meeting. Mu is shocked anyone would meet on a weekend and begs to come along. But Jay shuts him down immediately. He is going alone. Totally let down, Mu holds the door and tells Jay to at least bring back some ice cream for his trouble. Jay just stares and says nothing. Down at the cafe the vibe is chill, with just a few people hanging around the tables. Most people are having a blast, but Yuna's table is awkward as hell. She spots Dom Kang nearby, obsessing over the cafe's bagels. Mia finally shows up, totally embarrassed. She didn't expect the whole crew to be waiting for her already. Now pay attention, this is where everything changes. Dom Kang doesn't even recognize her new look, making her feel self-conscious until she finally speaks up. Yuna is hyped seeing Mia without her glasses. She tells her she needs to switch to contact lenses way more often. Even a guy nearby flirting with his girlfriend can't help but comment on how stunning Mia looks without her glasses. His girlfriend snaps and calls him a pig. Dom watches the drama and asks Yuna if they should fight like that too. She just ignores him. But at another table, Vinnie is losing his cool. Some random group is staring them down and judging them hard. They are whispering about his eyes, thinking his different colored left eye is just some fake contact lens or cosplay. Fed up with the trash talk, Vinnie decides it is time to give them a piece of his mind. He grabs their coffee, takes a sip, and loudly complains that it tastes sour. Now every eye in the room is on him. He asks if his eye is really that weird to them. He even sarcastically suggests they just pluck it out to see if it is real. They tell him to back off, but Vinnie just kicks the table with a big smile, sending one of the guys flying right off his chair. The massive explosion of noise catches Dom Kang's attention immediately. This is about to get messy. Vinnie pins a guy down with his foot and asks if he has more to say. Then he spills hot coffee everywhere. Totally accidental, right? A girl begs for help, but everyone stays back. It just looks like a heated argument to them. You and I are about to see a clash of titans. Dom Kang grabs Vinnie's hand to stop the chaos, but Vinnie is absolutely fuming. Things get incredibly tense, as Dom tries to play mediator, but Vinnie keeps pouring hot drinks all over the guy on the floor anyway. The jerk who was mocking Vinnie's hair and eyes just a few seconds ago? He is backing away like a terrified dog, begging for the police. Vinnie just flicks Dom's cap and asks him what his problem is. Dom just stares him down. He doesn't throw a punch, but his eyes say everything you need to know. But then Yuna speaks up. Dom turns, and she tells him to keep his fists down and stay out of trouble for once. Dom fixes his hair but keeps his eyes locked on Vinnie. The energy between them has shifted. Vinnie's friend jumps in to stop the fight before it explodes. He whispers that they need to leave right now. Classic Vinnie, he sticks his tongue out and tells Dom they will finish this talk later in private. Ignoring the taunts, Dom just picks up his cap and puts it back on his head. He tells Yuna he behaved himself. She doesn't give much away, but she admits he did a good job. Somewhere else, the sound of high heels and an expensive suitcase cuts through the noise of the city. You and I just witnessed a mystery blonde stop everyone in their tracks. Who is she? Well, we are about to find out. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a total creep picks the wrong target. While couples argue over disrespectful looks, this guy decides he is God's gift to women. After fixing his hair and checking his look, he starts bragging to his friend about the beautiful European woman nearby. He proudly claims his basic French is enough to win her over. He tells his buddy not to worry because his strategy is 99% charisma and only 1% language skills. Talk about overconfident. His friend isn't buying it. He knows this blonde woman is way out of his league and needs a serious reality check. The woman feels everyone staring. She thinks about how predictable and annoying men can be when they are trying way too hard. He tries to impress her with French, but she calmly shuts him down by speaking perfect Korean. She finds him weird, but answers his questions about where she is from anyway. It is awkward for everyone involved. The guy uses a cheesy line about seeing an angel while drinking coffee and needing to follow her. Then, he asks if she has a boyfriend. Cringe level? Maximum. He hands her his phone and asks for her number so they can talk later. Surprisingly, she actually takes the phone and starts writing something down. As a cyclist pedals by, she is also typing on her own phone. But watch out, two guys on a scooter are closing in with bad intentions. The driver is wearing an Iron Man mask. They have their eyes on the prize, the blonde woman, and her expensive-looking suitcase. This is about to get intense. They speed toward her while she is still holding the guy's phone. She hands it back with a cold look, saying she will just send him a message later. The guy thinks she is playing hard to get, convinced he just won. But then he checks the phone. The number is totally fake. She played him like a violin. Now here is where things go from bad to worse. As he stares at his phone, the scooter thieves strike. They snatch her bag and bolt. She is left standing there in shock. But then our mysterious hooded cyclist notices the whole thing and decides it is time to move. Even though he looks like he is in a massive hurry, he definitely has a clear destination in mind. Go time. Jay, the director's granddaughter, sees the cyclist chasing the thieves and takes off after him. She hits extreme speeds because she has to know what this guy is actually doing. She flies past some construction workers, scaring the life out of them. She even manages to snag a worker's helmet while barely slowing down. Now that she is protected, she can push her limits without worrying. Meanwhile, at a nearby cafe, the staff is cleaning up and getting ready for new customers. The workers are annoyed. They wish patrons would just enjoy their coffee and leave without making such a massive mess for them. People are watching the cleaning crew with frustration. One young man, Dom Kang, is enjoying attention from his girlfriend, but reflects that if he were still his old self, he would have handled this mess himself. Back in his school days, he was a legend known as Bloody Prey. You do not mess with him. Dom claims he doesn't want to fight anymore, just scare people a bit. Despite his tough talk, the girls seem impressed by his bravery. But Yuna isn't having it. She tells him acting like a tough guy isn't real courage. He is just being reckless and hasn't thought through the consequences of his actions. Mia has a different question though. She wants to know if he is finally ready to admit his true feelings for her in front of everyone. Let's pause, because this next part is hilarious. She awkwardly clarifies she actually wants to know why he always wears a band-aid on his upper lip. He doesn't find it funny at all. He touches his lip and asks if she is really curious. Yuna adds that everyone was going to ask eventually. Mia wants to know what is hidden under there since he always covers it up. He agrees to show her the truth, but only if they promise to keep it a secret. He rips off the band-aid, and the big secret is finally out. It turns out, all this time, he was just hiding a thick dark mustache. Everyone thinks it is super weird for a high schooler to have a full mustache. One of the guys, however, thinks it looks absolutely legendary. The kid starts imagining himself with a full beard and mustache, thinking it would make him look way more masculine and powerful. Mia is impressed he has facial hair already. The other boy starts speculating that he has a secret miraculous gel from the black market that makes hair grow instantly. He thinks it is the key to looking like a real man. He begs Dom Kang to let him try some. But Dom says it is impossible, because that stuff is incredibly hard to find nowadays. The girls are confused. Why go through all the trouble of growing a mustache just to hide it behind a band-aid every single day? He explains the mustache is for his part-time job so he looks older and more serious. If his teachers find out, it is game over, and he has to shave. That is the real reason for the band-aid. Mia finally realizes why he is always so exhausted during their morning classes. He is just burnt out from working. Another girl asks what his father does for a living that would require him to act so mature and tough. He says his dad just handles the administrative side of an organization. But from the outside, it looks like something way more dangerous than that. His dad looks like a high-ranking mafia boss dealing with other dangerous criminals. When they are all together, the vibe is incredibly intimidating. But as professional gangsters, they have to keep their cool and maintain their composure at all times. Regardless, his father is finally returning to Korea later today. The girl asks if his dad is just a regular office worker. He just bursts out laughing, trying to change the subject before things get even more awkward for him. Mia decides to escape the awkward conversation. She grabs a ticket and heads off to get everyone some more coffee to drink. She walks away looking stunning, and suddenly, someone starts taking pictures of her. It looks like her looks have caught the eye of a mysterious stranger who is very interested. Elsewhere, our student council president is pushing his bike to the limit. Wearing that borrowed helmet, he is hunting down the thieves who stole the bag. The thieves think they just hit the jackpot, but then they realize someone is actually closing in on them. They are shocked to see a cyclist keeping up with them. And that's where we leave it, trust me. You're going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are about to watch a guy on a bicycle take down a motorcycle. The thieves think he is a joke, but they are about to find out how wrong they are. Jay leans in and starts pedaling with everything he has, weaving through traffic to keep those thieves in his sights. Our main character is chasing down the thugs who snatched a woman's purse, and he is clearly used to the chaos of the streets. Ramps, walls, and speeding cars are nothing to him, as he navigates the urban obstacle course. This is all light work for him. Finding a shortcut to cut off those criminals is going to be easy. He is so experienced that he literally starts riding along the top of a concrete wall, while some local kids play nearby. A stray ball flies right toward him, but Jay does not even flinch. The kids watching are absolutely stunned, wondering if he is part of some secret bicycle attack squad, because seeing someone pedal on a wall is just pure insanity. Now pay attention here, because these kids just realized that a bicycle might actually be cooler than a ball. He keeps pushing forward on that ledge until he finally gets those thieves back in his line of sight. The driver thinks it is just some fluke, until he looks up and sees a bicycle literally flying through the air. That is when the real terror finally starts to sink in for the criminals. Launching off the wall with insane speed, Jay goes completely airborne, soaring right over a group of kids eating their ice cream. The kids are starstruck while the motorcyclists are frozen in fear. Everyone watching is thinking the same thing: this guy is not human. It is an absolutely incredible sight for everyone on the street. Nobody has ever seen anyone ride a bike with this much pure guts. Jay hurls his entire bike at the motorcycle to bring them down, causing a massive crash into some boxes. Even as the dust settles, the kids cannot stop talking about that flying bicycle they just saw. The thieves scramble away in terror, leaving the stolen bag behind just to escape the madness. That is when Shell pulls up in her white car, frantic and checking to see if Jay is even still alive. He has clearly taken a hit to the head, but his helmet makes it hard to see how bad the damage really is. She begs him to go to the hospital, but he just hands over the bag and picks up his wrecked bike. It is so mangled he cannot even ride it, so he just starts walking it home. Shell keeps insisting he needs help, but Jay is stubborn. Realizing he won't budge, she finally just thanks him for saving her bag. Jay pulls out his phone to call his friends, letting them know he won't be making the meeting because of an accident. Yuna panics, asking if he is okay, while Dom Kang is just dying to know what kind of chaos Jay got into. Yuna breaks the news to the group that Jay crashed his bike and won't be coming. This immediately catches Mia's attention, and you can see the worry all over her face. You and I both know Jay isn't a liar, but some people in the group think he is just making up an excuse to skip out on them. Yuna shuts that down quick, knowing Jay would never flake. They decide to wait a bit longer before heading out for the day. Mia is crushed and heads to the bathroom to clear her head. Looking in the mirror, she feels like all her effort was for nothing, but she is still praying that Jay is safe. As she steps out, a mysterious guy named CJ Kim approaches her, claiming he works for the famous SC magazine. He tells her she has the perfect look for their next model search, and asks her to reach out if she is interested. He hands her his card and says she can call him whenever. Mia stands there totally stunned, staring at the card in disbelief. The trio says their goodbyes to the rest of the crew, promising to catch up back at school tomorrow. The group feels bad that Jay missed out, especially since Mia looks so amazing today. Yuna tries to cheer her up, telling her there will be plenty of other chances to see him. Yuna is curious about the guy from earlier, so Mia shows her the business card and explains the whole scout situation. Yuna recognizes the name immediately. That magazine is huge. She thinks this might actually be a massive opportunity for her friend. Back at Jay's place, Mu is just hanging out watching television while the cat plays nearby. He is bored out of his mind, wishing there was something more exciting to do. Meanwhile, Jay is hauling his broken bike into a specialty shop, hoping someone can fix the mess he made during the chase. He meets a cool mechanic rocking a military cap and tattoos. She greets him with a smile, and Jay explains that his bike is in serious trouble. She recognizes him from the race footage, and asks if he remembers her, but Jay just gives her a blank stare. It is pretty clear he has no clue who she is. Jay has a talent for forgetting everyone he meets. Even though he is only there for the bike, she notices the cut on his forehead, and insists on giving him some first aid. He is not exactly happy about the attention, wanting her to focus on the bike instead of worrying about his injuries. Jay tells her the bike is the only priority here, and when she finally looks at it, she realizes just how bad the damage really is. The front wheel and fork are totally trashed. Luckily, the frame is still solid, which is a miracle after the stunt he pulled to take down those thieves. The mechanic is definitely a stunner, but Jay isn't even looking at her. His eyes are fixed on something else entirely. He is staring at a photo of his uncle on the wall. It triggers a flood of memories from the final stage of the Tour de France years ago. Jay remembers watching that legendary race, where for the first time ever, a Korean cyclist was leading the pack. But then, an English pro named Mark closes the gap and overtakes him in the blink of an eye. As they sprint for the finish, Jay remembers his uncle's advice about chasing your own dreams. Back then, Jay said he wanted to be a doctor, but his uncle told him a real dream belongs to you, not your parents. Young Jay argued back, saying he was just a student who had to study hard to keep his parents happy. His uncle says studying is a boring dream. Stick with me, we are about to see if Jay finally finds his own path. Stick with me, you and I are about to see how a simple question about dreams turned a quiet student into a cycling legend. Jay wanted to know what his uncle truly lived for. His uncle smiled and revealed his ultimate goal to reach the absolute top of world cycling. He believed that with enough dedication nothing was impossible. And then, he did it, becoming the first Korean in history to win the final stage of that legendary race. Young Jae watched that triumph until his parents told him to shut down and sleep. He turned off the computer feeling inspired, convinced that his uncle had proven that anything could be achieved in this world. Years later, the memory resurfaced when Harry asked Jae if he knew that legendary cyclist. In Korea, his uncle was a national hero, a champion who dominated the Asian cycling circuit. Now pay attention, she mentions he even won the final stage of the Tour de France. This moment changes everything for Jae. Jae reveals the man was his uncle, which Harry already suspected after seeing Jae's training bike. She pointed out the inscription on the frame. The bike was named after him, Mahan Jo. Jae asked how she knew his uncle, and Harry revealed she was actually the leader of an exclusive fan club dedicated to the legendary Mahan Jo. She needed 2 days to replace the front end and get the bike back in shape. Jae reluctantly agreed to leave it behind, but Harry stopped him before he could walk away. She handed him a flyer for the Street League Long-Distance Championship, thinking he might actually be interested in joining the race. There was a prize of 100,000 and an international spot on the line, but Jae flatly refused. He claimed his exams were more important than some street race. Harry just smiled, telling him to fix his injuries before coming back for the bike. Jae started walking home and searched his pockets only to realize his wallet was gone. Later, he just sat in his room listening to music, totally unaware of the loss. Shelly's grandfather was ecstatic to see his favorite granddaughter had finally returned home. While looking through Jae's lost wallet, Shelly decided she wanted to enroll in his school immediately. Minu was completely horrified by Jae's badly bruised face. Jae brushed it off as a simple accident, but Minu was worried about his constant injuries. He explained the bike was at the shop, leaving Minu stunned by the damage. Minu realized he'd have to ride to school alone, feeling frustrated by the situation. Let's pause for a second, because the next day at school, everything gets even crazier. Dom Kang, acting like Jae's best friend, approached him. He mentioned how worried everyone was at the cafe, especially Minu. Minu quickly silenced him, while Yuna demanded to know what really happened. Jae just told him to drop it and get back to studying. Suddenly, the teacher entered with a major announcement and called for silence. He announced a new exchange student was joining the class, and told Shelly to come inside without being shy since everyone was waiting for her. A blonde girl walked in with confident steps, and the entire room fell silent, while admiring her unmatched beauty. The teacher explained that Shelly was an exchange student who had just transferred from England. The teacher asked everyone to be friendly as she introduced herself. She mentioned her love for cycling, and the boys went absolutely wild. Yuna was disgusted by the boys, while Dom tried to stay loyal. But Shelly didn't care about the compliments or the pathetic boys. Instead, she spotted the real source of the commotion. The school director crouched outside, spying to see how his granddaughter was fitting in. He saw wolves circling his granddaughter until the janitor caught him. The teacher tried to find a seat for her, but Shelly confidently claimed she would find her own place to sit in the classroom. She walked straight to Jae and kissed his cheek, leaving everyone speechless. Mia watched, her heart completely breaking. While the boys were stunned by her boldness, the director was absolutely furious at her behavior, terrified that Jae might actually try to kiss her back. The janitor had to drag the director away while the teacher quickly reprimanded this bizarre behavior in front of the entire class. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens after that kiss. She simply told a stunned Jae she was thanking him for saving her bag. Alright, you and I are about to see how one blonde angel turns a nerd's life upside down. Shelly locks eyes with the guy next to Jae and demands his seat. Feeling the heat, the poor kid immediately backs off, claiming it would be rude not to let a lady sit down. Yuna puts the pieces together while Mia fumes. Seeing that kiss in front of the whole class was definitely a step too far for her. Jun is checking out a race flyer when Minu sprints past him. He is clearly in a rush to get somewhere fast. Minu shouts that he has no time to talk because he heard a gorgeous exchange student just joined their class. Jun has big news, but his friend isn't even listening. The whole school is buzzing about the nerd who kissed a goddess. Jun tries to mention the race flyer to Minu, but decides it can wait. He will tell him later that Jae is actually entering the tournament they both love. Minu bursts into class looking for the lucky guy, but Jae is already surrounded by boys demanding to know how he pulled such a beautiful girl and where they met. Meanwhile, the girls are whispering about Shelly's hair and wondering what her connection to Jae is. Shelly spots Minu waving from class 3. She gives him a polite nod, telling him it is a pleasure to meet, but her eyes stay on Jae. Minu corners Jae and tells him they need to talk privately, but Jae just brushes him off, saying he is way too busy right now. Minu grabs his arm, begging him to stop the lies and just give him 1 minute of his time. Now pay attention, because here is the part where Minu demands to know how long Jae and Shelly have been together. Jae doesn't blink, insisting there is nothing between them. Minu thinks it is a joke, so Jae explains that the girl just appeared and kissed him in front of everyone. Minu is baffled. Why would she kiss him for no reason? And why didn't Jae mention they were literally living under the same roof? The rumors fly instantly. Everyone thinks Jay betrayed his best friend. Minu desperately tries to save face, telling the class they have it all wrong. A student from the school paper snaps a photo, capturing the chaos for the next headline. An orange-haired guy tries to get a sniff of Shelly's blonde hair, but she shuts him down with a quick slap. Watching all of this, Mia is in total shock. Mia is spiraling. All the constant chatter around her reminds her of the dark days when she was ruthlessly bullied by her very own classmates. She remembers one day specifically when they went too far, trashing her books and shattering her glasses on the floor. Without her expensive glasses, she was completely helpless. That is when Jay finally walked up to her and asked what her specific prescription was. He told her they had the exact same vision and handed over his spare pair. Since he broke his own often, he always carried an extra set around. Let us pause for a second. This is the moment Mia realized that underneath Jay's cold exterior, he is actually the kindest person she has ever met. That was the exact second she fell for him. But speaking up was incredibly hard. The years of bullying had killed her confidence and made her resent the world, keeping her true feelings locked away deep inside her heart. After class, Jay tries to make a quiet exit, but a voice he is tired of hearing calls out. It is Minu, waving that race flyer and mocking him, asking if he has had any new updates on his teeth lately. The race prize is 100 million, won a massive fortune for Minu, who is currently broke. He begs Jay to form a team so they can finally get paid big time. Jay stays firm, telling him he is not interested, and to stop bothering him for good. Minu keeps pushing, dreaming about TV fame and glory. All the while, Shelly watches from the shadows, tracking their every move as they argue. Shelly is about to join in, but then her grandfather appears out of nowhere, demanding to know where she is going. She tries to brush him off, but he grabs her by the hood. Her little friends can wait. He needs to speak with his granddaughter before she goes anywhere. He demands to know what she is plotting and drags her home. Shelly is absolutely furious as she watches Jay walk away without her. Back home, Jay is settling in to study when Minu barges in once again with that persistent flyer. Minu claims if they fix the bike, the race is theirs. But Jay has had enough until a cycling interview on the television suddenly catches his eye. It is Sancho Choi, and he is entering the Street League Festival. Minu knows the name well. Sancho is the absolute best in Korea. The pro even promises to race against whichever amateur team wins the entire thing during the final stretch. Jay and June fight over the remote, while Minu just wants to finish the interview in peace. They mention the name Maehanjo, the cycling legend who died 2 years ago, after a controversial doping test accident ruined his entire professional reputation. Sancho Choi insults his memory, saying that if Maehan were still alive, his career would be over anyway because of the drugs. Jay remembers his uncle's kind face and feels a surge of pain. Hearing those words from Sancho changes everything. Sancho continues to condemn doping, but the damage is already done. In a sudden burst of resolve, Jay stands up and finally announces he is joining the grand competition after all. Minu is stunned. Later that night, the three of them meet up in the town square. June asks if he is serious. Jay just nods. He cannot let Sancho say those things about his uncle and get away with it. Trust me, you and I are about to see Jay go on an absolute rampage to clear his uncle's name. Things are about to get wild. Alright, stick with me because Jay is about to risk everything for a cause no one understands. Jay doesn't care about the fame or the money. For him, it is personal. He needs to clear his uncle's name and prove they never used doping. Minu is just relieved to have a powerhouse like him, but there is a massive problem. They do not even have enough members to form a real squad yet. Minu worries his old team might end up as their rivals, but Minu tells him to let go of the past. It is time to build something new. Now, they desperately need a name, and Minu puts Minu in charge of brainstorming something epic. Everyone is waiting to hear his ideas. Jay stays quiet while Minu drops his brilliant suggestion. Team Super Cool. Minu shuts that down immediately for being way too childish. They cycle through a bunch of terrible ideas like Giant Team or Legendary Team, but since they are getting nowhere, they decide to call it a day. Jay thinks Minu is a total airhead, but Minu is genuinely convinced that Super Cool is the best name ever. The next morning, school is back in session, but Minu's mind is miles away from the English lesson. He is struggling harder than ever to find a name that actually fits their vibe. During break, the guys regroup, and Minu doubles down on Team Super Cool, insisting it is their only option. Jay has finally reached his limit, and tells him there is absolutely no way he is using that garbage name. Anything else is better. Now watch this part closely. This is where the team dynamic gets really chaotic. Shell appears out of nowhere, but Jay just gives her the cold shoulder like usual. She hears them talking about the cycling team and is instantly hooked. She wants to join the squad right then and there. Minu tries to warn her that racing can be dangerous, but Minu is already sold. Since she is beautiful, he is more than happy to welcome her to the crew. He tells her as long as she can ride a bike, he will take care of everything else. She snaps back that she can ride perfectly, while Mia watches from a distance, feeling totally heartbroken. Her friend Yuna notices the mood shift, but Mia tries to play it off as just feeling sick. Then Dom Kang crashes the party, suggesting some hip-hop energy is all Mia needs to feel better. Shell starts suggesting names, leading Mew to propose the goddess and her minions. Minu cannot believe how silly his friend gets around girls. Dom Kang is devastated that they are making moves without him. He is practically in tears, asking why they would leave a friend behind. He brings up that night they spent together, making things awkward for Jay in front of everyone. Watching Jay and the new girl get close is tearing Mia apart. She is frozen, watching Shell easily become part of the circle she has always wanted to join. While Mia stays quiet, Dom Kang is busy throwing a massive tantrum because he wants to join the bike team too. Now there are 5 of them, and Mu is still wondering why Dom Kang will not just go away. Dom insists he is a member now, but someone points out he does not even own a bike. He claims he is getting one online, and Mu tells him they will talk once he actually has wheels. They think about using their school name, but Shell points out that they are all absolutely terrible at this. Meanwhile, Shell's grandfather is watching from the shadows while Mu refuses to give up on Team Supercool. As the school principal, he is not thrilled his granddaughter is hanging out with a bunch of boys. But then he sees her genuine smile and realizes it has been way too long since she has looked this happy. Just then, a tiny bird zooms past them. Mew thinks it is a bug, but Minu clarifies that it is impossible to find a hummingbird in Korea. He explains it is likely a hawk moth, something people constantly mistake for the real thing. He goes on a total nerd rant about how hummingbirds flap their wings 90 times per second. It makes them the ultimate acrobats of the sky. Mew is stunned by that speed, wondering if a person could ever pedal a bike 90 times a second. Let's stop for a second. Can you imagine the power of pedaling like that? That is the moment the light bulb finally flickers on. Dom is confused, but elsewhere, the race posters are starting to draw some serious attention. Pros and legends alike are all preparing to enter the race. Some guys are even crazy enough to think they can win on junk bikes. The hype finally reaches TJ. Back in the classroom, Mia finally gets Jay alone and asks if the dating rumors are true. Jay is clearly annoyed and asks where she is getting this from. Mia admits the whole school is talking about them. He denies it completely, and you can practically hear the weight lifting off Mia's shoulders. She is finally ready to help him out. She thinks the team idea is awesome and asks what they finally decided to name it. Jay tells her they are going with Team Hummingbird. Mia loves it and offers to design their official logo right away. So what do you and I think? Is this the start of a legendary crew? We are about to find out. Alright, you and I are about to dive into a world where bikes are everything. Jay tells Mia she can cook for him, making her blush like crazy. He is in a rush to leave, but this is just the beginning. Later on, Mia tells Jay she is planning to buy a bike soon. She asks if he would be willing to teach her how to ride whenever he is free. Jay agrees to help her out when he has some spare time, leaving the girl absolutely thrilled. After school, Jay heads straight to the shop to pick up his bike from the mechanic. Harry tells him he is running way later than she expected. Meanwhile, over at Dom Kang's house, the boy announces he is finally home. His father invites him for a drink, but Dom Kang says he is too tired and has to work soon. The old man complains that his son should at least act happy to see him or he will feel sad. Then he asks if Dom Kang is juggling multiple girls at school. The boy shuts that down immediately, saying of course that is not happening. His dad claims that back in his day, he actually knew how to enjoy life instead of being so serious. One of his men tells the father to stop bothering the kid and goes back to eating. That is when Dom Kang asks his father for bike money so he can exercise. His dad finds the sudden request strange and asks how much a bicycle even costs these days. A henchman pipes up saying 50,000 won might get him something decent at least. Dom Kang's father agrees and hands over the cash, telling him to buy a good one. Hearing the tiny amount, Dom Kang thinks his father must be joking. How can he find a bike for that? He was baffled. How could he find anything decent for 50,000 won? It seemed impossible until he spotted a bike listed online for 100,000. It looked suspicious since there were no photos, but he decided he had to buy it for himself anyway. One of the henchmen suggests messaging the seller first. Feeling shy, Dom Kang asks for a 50% discount, while secretly worrying if the whole thing is just a scam. The henchmen doubt anyone would pull such a blatant scam. But if the seller does run off with the money, they promise to take care of it personally. Pay attention here, because Dom Kang thinks he just scored. The seller agrees to the massive discount, making him feel lucky. He is finally ready to join the team. On the other end, the seller assumes his target is just some broke kid. The scammer had already pocketed the cash from the fool who just sent it over. The thief was confident the kid would never report it to the police over something as small as a bicycle. Meanwhile, Harry is happy Jay decided to join the competition with the boys. She thinks it is great, and hopes they will create some amazing memories together. She warns Jay to take better care of the bike, since the chain was a total mess when his uncle handed it down. He needs to keep it in top shape. Harry explains that gathering all the custom parts took time, especially after the 7 front wheels Jay used before were completely destroyed. She tells him that carbon wheels are much lighter than the regular ones, which will make his bike a lot faster on the road. However, she warns that a single crack can ruin a carbon wheel completely, so Jay cannot ride recklessly. It is not indestructible just because it is carbon. Jay asks about the total cost for repairs. Harry tells him those 7 wheels were just old stock from a dusty corner, so he can keep them for free. As for the repair bill, Jay can pay her back after winning the big race. She really wants them to take first place for his uncle's sake after that doping scandal. You and I need to watch this part closely. While Jay trains, Vinnie is wasting away. His friend begs him to stop living like a pig since school is already over. It is late at night, and his friend points out that Vinnie should not be sleeping through the entire day like this. Cracking one eye open, Vinnie asks for the time. His friend says it is already 8:40 p.m., and since he is still alive he needs to get up. Vinnie had not shown up for school, or answered his phone, so his worried friend came over only to find him passed out in bed. His friend hands over a note, and 10,001 his mother left earlier that morning. Vinnie stares at the cash, wondering how far that tiny bit of money will actually go. That money will disappear the moment he buys food or cigarettes. His friend also warns him that the teacher promised to expel Vinnie if he skips one more class. Vinnie is frustrated that he has to go back to class tomorrow or lose his spot, but he honestly feels like giving up on everything. When Vinnie finally shows up at school, the staff member at the gate gives him a cold welcome. This guy is famous for being absolutely miserable to students. This guy is a nightmare, calling students rebels and blaming kids like Vinnie for the school falling apart. His harsh methods just make everyone want to quit even more. He makes it clear that one more mistake means expulsion. He mutters about Vinnie's hair color, treating him like he is some kind of freak. The staff member continues his rant, saying he does not even understand how a kid like Vinnie ended up at this school in the first place. He is convinced Vinnie will never graduate, and hates wasting time on him. He wants to expel him right now, but Vinnie's best friend suddenly steps in. Now pay attention, because the vibe shifts instantly when a model student arrives. The friend ignores the angry man, and walks right past him. He approaches Vinnie and asks if he is doing okay after that encounter. Vinnie is clearly fuming. Everyone knows not to catch his eye or talk trash behind his back, because the consequences for doing that are usually pretty brutal. He has acted tough since he was a kid just to protect himself. Reaching the door, Vinnie says he wants a word with the idiot staring at him. Vinnie tells the guy to come over while he is still being nice. The boy at the window apologizes immediately, claiming it was just an accident. But Vinnie grabs a chair, looking ready to teach the boy a lesson. He does not care about apologies. He needs to make an example out of him. Elsewhere, the boys are all distracted by the stunning blonde exchange student who just arrived. She is on the phone asking her father to mail her bike so she can finally ride. While she is happy, Dom Kang is having a much worse time. That is where we leave it. Dom Kang keeps calling, but the seller is gone. You and I just saw a disaster start. Trust me, you want to see the fallout. You and I are about to dive into a story where getting scammed is just the beginning. Our guy is glued to his phone, looking dead serious. Meanwhile, Mia is totally in the zone, sketching a hummingbird. Yuna is curious, though what has she been working on all this time? Mia explains she's grinding on a fresh design. Yuna asks if it's some kind of logo, and Mia confirms it a hummingbird for their new team identity. Yuna points out that her brother and Jay already finished their snacks and vanished. She wonders if Mia has any clue where those two went. Mia is not sure, but she overheard them talking about a massive competition. They were submitting an application. Mia didn't know her brother was trying to join a competition, but she knows he'll improve his skills now that they live together. She's beaming because her sketch is finally perfect. Now she just needs to show the boys. Cut to the post office. The guys just finished mailing their application form. Jay is annoyed. Did he really need to come just for this? Mew insists they're a team now, so they stick together. Mew asks if Jay would rather be lazy at school while he does the heavy lifting. Jay tells him to shut it, they're wasting daylight. Mew's starving and wants to grab a bite first. Jay is definitely not in the mood and says he'll just eat alone later. Now pay attention, because this is where the weirdness starts. Mew realizes Jay is impossible. Then, he spots a flashy pink floral bike across the street. This strange guy calls his bike Sina, and tells her to wait while he enters the competition. He locks her up tight so no one steals his precious ride. After literally kissing the bike, he promises he'll be right back. Mew is getting major chills. This guy is way too eccentric. He and Jay bail immediately because they've only got a short class break. But wait, the guy overheard Mew call his bike stupid. He's not happy. Mew's like, "Are you talking to me?" The man snaps back, demanding to know why Minu insulted his beloved ride. He calls Mew a worthless human. You can't just give a superb bike such a mean name. The boys think he's a total otaku. The guy is furious now, screaming at Mew to take back every word he said about his bike. He's so tilted he grabs Mew by the collar, spitting everywhere and rambling with weird names only a hardcore fan would know. Mew looks at Jay for backup, but Jay just tells him to apologize and leave. Fine. Mew takes it back, lying that the bike is actually pretty. The cyclist warns him never to look at her like that again. He basically calls Mew a useless nobody. Then he grabs his competition application team name, Manga Team. Minu realizes this weird otaku is actually going to participate in the same street league competition. He adds that they can call her Senna-chan. Just like the owner, this bike is exotic and has its own unique name. The boys can't believe this guy is real. They pedal back to school fast since their break is almost over. I know what you're thinking, that guy is wild. On the way back, Jay jokes the bike must be his girlfriend. Minu can't tell if Jay is serious since his face is always stone cold. Suddenly, the cyclist zooms past, calling them slow schoolboys. He tells them to enjoy the view of his bike's back, calling it charming as he disappears. Minu has no clue why this guy is so cocky while riding such an ordinary bike. Meanwhile, Dom Kang calls his father's henchman to explain he's been scammed. This is a huge insult to their gang's reputation, especially since Dom was the one who suggested buying the bike online. One henchman tells Dom to just focus on class, they'll take care of the rest. They summon an associate to track the thief using the phone number and bank account. Someone's about to regret stealing from their young master. He orders the info be sent to a hacker immediately to find the swindler. The associate says it's easy. Their hackers just hit a major credit card company, so tracking one scammer is light work. Once they have a location, they're bringing more men and tools to terrify the scammer. Dom is deeply upset, feeling like an idiot for falling for a stupid internet trap. He just wants to see the guy face to face. As he thinks about it, his expression turns terrifyingly dark. A classmate touches his shoulder and gets a look so scary he nearly jumps. He was just there to say Yuna wanted him. Even though he's fuming, just hearing Yuna's name instantly fixes Dom's mood. He can't stay mad when he sees her. Dom runs over to see what the goddess of his life needs. She asks why he's so gloomy and gives him gum to cheer him up. Sugar for the stress, classic Yuna. To Dom, that gum is a holy relic. He tells her he feels terrible because she won't give him a little kiss. Annoyed, Yuna gives his face a gentle stroke and then delivers a massive punch. Somewhere else, our scammer is living his best life, riding around and snacking. He used the money from that cheap bike scam. He is feasting on 50,000 won stolen from that gullible buyer. Heading back to his hideout, he is feeling totally ecstatic about the score. He plans to sneak past the landlord to avoid paying rent again. He thinks he's home free, but then he sees his door. It's been forced open. Thinking he's been robbed, he rushes inside. Trust me, he was not ready for this. Inside, men in black suits are waiting with tools. They do not look friendly. Alright, you and I are about to watch a student scammer realize he just messed with the wrong family. Shaking like a leaf, the con artist drops his food as he finds his home filled with angry men. They are all demanding to know exactly why he decided to trick their young master. Now the scammer is completely stuck in a chair, unable to say a word, while still wearing that ridiculous cycling helmet. One of the father's henchmen is livid, screaming that he picked the worst possible target for his little scheme. The thug tells him that if he wants to play games, he better be ready for the consequences. The bodyguard is annoyed to even be in this place, wasting his time on a small fry. He warns the tied-up man that the young master is coming, and trust me, things are about to get expensive. He basically bought a one-way ticket to disaster with that 50,000 won scam. Suddenly, Dom Kang arrives to a room of bowing men, looking absolutely furious. You and I can see the pure rage in his eyes. Things are about to get real. He spent the entire day hunting this guy down, but looking from his chair, the scammer thinks Dom Kang is just some harmless schoolboy. He has no idea why these scary men are obeying a teenager. He starts shaking even more when Dom Kang reaches into his pocket, looking like he is pulling a weapon. But get this, he is actually just grabbing a piece of candy. The cyclist is already in tears, just waiting for the worst to happen. He is terrified of what is coming out of that pocket, but then is totally confused when it is just a caramel. The scary young master looks at the treat like it is the greatest treasure on earth. The guy is so shocked by the candy that he stops crying. As the henchmen ask for orders, Dom Kang just keeps chewing because the candy from Yuna tastes like pure heaven. Switching back to a serious face, Dom Kang asks exactly where his new bike is. A henchman points it out, and everyone notices the ride looks like it just came off the shelf. He walks up and starts talking to the bike, saying he doesn't know what happened, but he is thrilled to get such a perfect machine for only 50,000 won. If the real owner wasn't tied up and gagged, he would definitely have something to say about his bike being stolen right in front of him. The scammer looks absolutely crushed watching another man claim his prized bicycle. The bodyguard thinks today might actually end well since the young boss is in such a fantastic mood. Since the guy said he was retiring from cycling, Dom Kang decides he doesn't need the helmet either. He takes the bike and the gear, telling the guy he is free to go now that the debt is paid. The bodyguard feels a bit disappointed by the mercy. The cyclist is sobbing now, not from fear, but from the heartbreak of losing his ride. The lead thug tells him he is lucky and orders his men to cut the ropes. Later, the guy is found buried up to his neck in a soft patch of dirt. He is not alone though, as some local cats have found a new toy. Back at Jay's house, Minu wants to use the computer, but Jay is focused on his online classes. That is when Minu hears a strange scratching at the window. Minu asks if Jay heard that noise outside. Jay just blames it on a cat, his voice sounding thick from a nasty cold. Minu opens the window to check, and finds Dom Kang beaming with joy, holding up his new bike like a championship trophy. Minu is hyped for his friend's new ride. Since it is a bike, Jay forgets his studying and rushes over to see what the fuss is about. Soon, the three of them are outside admiring the frame. Minu wastes no time, and jumps on for a test. As Minu rides, he gets the feeling he has seen this bike before but can't quite place it. He asks Dom Kang if it was expensive. Dom Kang proudly brags that he bargained the price down to just 50,000 won on a used site. Seeing their shocked faces, Dom Kang worries he paid too much, but as they look closer, they realize the deal is insane. They ask him what he did to the owner to get a high-end bike for that price. Dom Kang just repeats the story about the owner retiring from the sport, while Jay decides to head back inside to study since his grades have been tanking lately. Now that he has a bike, Dom Kang realizes he has no idea how to ride. Minu suggests he learn how to skid first for the single gear, but looking at Dom Kang's blank stare, it is clear he has never heard that word. Minu explains that skidding is a core trick where you use leg strength to lock the rear wheel into a slide. Since words aren't helping, Minu tells him to just watch and learn as he demonstrates the move himself. Minu pulls off a perfect skid. Now it is Dom Kang's turn, and he thinks it looks easy enough to copy. At first, he can't even get his feet on the pedals. His friends start thinking this sport just isn't for him. After fumbling for a few minutes to get his balance, Dom Kang finally manages to set off, looking very shaky. He is already exhausted after a few pedals, but then he has the brilliant idea to head downhill. Minu shouts for him to try the skid, but Dom Kang is already losing control of the bike. There is no way he can stop, so he tries to pedal backwards, but it is not working at all. The pedals are spinning way too fast for his legs. He flies down the hill screaming as his legs spin out of control. And trust me, you and I are not going to want to miss this crash. Alright, you and I are about to jump into a world of speed, secrets, and drama, starting with Minu's plan. Another morning hits Sunny High, where students are grinding through study sessions while the girls prep their makeup for the long day. Meanwhile, some students choose an adventurous life, spending their time skateboarding around the campus instead. In one group, the girls talk about their crush on Minu, but as a skateboarder flies past them, the sudden wind causes their skirts to lift into the air. The boy feels smug after catching a flash of two pieces of underwear, one pink and one white, as he speeds away. But those three girls are furious, realizing that sudden breeze was no accident. This orange-haired creep was intentionally peeking at the girls for his own satisfaction. He notices that most of them are wearing white, which seems to be the popular trend around the school lately. Then he spots his main target, the blonde exchange student Shelly. Her friendly energy sparks an intense obsession in him, and he is determined to impress her. He starts pulling radical tricks, feeling fired up while constantly adjusting his signature hair to look perfect. Now, pay attention, he's feeling confident and ready to approach the girl of his dreams. But things fail instantly. A group of angry girls corners him, sick and tired of his disrespectful skateboarding stunts. One girl lands light punches to his stomach while the others prepare to stomp him out. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew is admiring the brand new logo Mia designed for Jay. Mia holds up her notebook for everyone to see, and Minu declares the design is beautiful. He claims this logo will lead them to victory, but Yuna tells him to stop flirting immediately. Minu is annoyed by the accusation, while Chell steps in, asking to see the impressive artwork up close. But Mia still holds a grudge over that kiss with Jay, and she flat out refuses Chell. Chell demands to know what the problem is, creating a tension so thick even Minu notices it. Minu is just happy they finally have a team logo, despite the heated atmosphere around him. Minu asks Jay for his opinion, and in a cold, detached tone Jay simply says yes. Mia is satisfied, telling Jay she worked on it specifically for him as a special gift. Let's pause for a second. Check out Dom Kang stumbling around looking lost, and Yuna can't believe her eyes. He struggles to reach the team, making everyone wonder if he's been in a brutal fight. He explains he's just drained from practicing bike skidding late into the night before. Now he is desperate to buy brakes, terrified that riding without them is a death trap. Minu is concerned about the bike's safety, asking where it's located and if it's locked up. Dom smiles through the pain, telling Minu not to worry because the bike is safe. Outside in the corridor, his ride is tied to a massive Rottweiler, which is currently drawing a crowd of shocked students. Passers-by stop to admire the bike's sleek dynamics and beautiful color scheme in the hallway. However, whenever anyone tries to get close, they're met with a massive dog ready to defend that bike. People are terrified just looking at the beast, wondering who would ever tie a dog to a bike. Back in the classroom, Dom is the mastermind behind the chaos, totally oblivious to the fear he's caused. Jay is visibly unsettled by the behavior of his bizarre friend, Dom. While Jay can't hide his confusion, Mia is only focused on getting closer to him. Mia asks Jay to teach her how to ride this weekend, and Yuna quickly jumps in to make sure Jay can't back out after all the research Mia put into creating their brand new logo. As a thank you, Jay is expected to teach her how to ride throughout the weekend. Indifferently, Jay keeps his word and agrees, making Mia's whole day. However, the blonde student Chell tells Mia to stop right there, claiming she can't just borrow Jay whenever she wants. Mia is furious, saying Chell has no right to speak for him. Chell has plans too, and Dom excitedly announces he's joining the practice session as well. Miu joins the group too, leaving Yuna thinking all these boys are completely brainless. Mia's private date is ruined, while June stays behind, seemingly focused on his college exams. But June is actually on his phone, scouting out their dangerous rivals. He notices a standout athlete on a 5-speed bike dominating everything. This legendary rival is currently training right in their city, preparing for the same championship our team is entering. He is consistently hitting speeds around 92, and even pushing 97 kilometers per hour during these intense downhill runs. And trust me, you and I just witnessed a monster in the making, and with his sessions streaming live, the real battle is only just beginning. Alright, you and I are about to see just how terrifying street racing can get. One athlete just hit 102 kilometers per hour, a speed June didn't even think was humanly possible. Over at the bike shop, Dom Kang is done taking risks with his life. He finally brought his bike in to have some actual brakes installed. Harry finishes the maintenance and adds front brakes for extra safety. Dom is absolutely thrilled, because he can finally ride his bike with some real confidence. Jay was the one who recommended the shop, but he had no idea the manager was the same girl from the webcast. Miu asks the beautiful mechanic if she really runs the shop. She explains that the live streams are just for fun, and her real career is working here at the shop, which her father actually owns. Harry then shifts the focus to the upcoming competition, asking why they aren't out training. Miu is still acting confident, putting all his faith in his friend's perfect skills. He declares that with Jay on their team, victory is already guaranteed. But June interrupts, having spent his time scouting the other participants and checking their official rankings. He warns the group that if they don't start taking this seriously, they won't even make it past the preliminaries of the race. June's presence causes a bit of unease. Miu asks if he's always hanging around here, and June says he just came in for routine maintenance and a tire replacement. Dom Kang is just excited to see all his friends in one place. To him, this bike shop is basically their new favorite clubhouse. Miu is more concerned about June spending all his time investigating the competition, especially with their important entrance exams coming up so soon. June has the receipts to prove it. He shows them a video of a cyclist flying down the road at over 100 kilometers per hour, leaving everyone in the room completely stunned. In fact, they find it almost impossible to believe that a human being on a bicycle could ever reach those kinds of speeds. Harry, the expert manager, explains that hitting 100 on a 5.1 gear is usually only possible with a car acting as a windbreaker. Under those specific conditions, any elite cyclist could reach 100 kilometers. She even mentions the new Guinness World Record is actually over 200 kilometers per hour. Miu remarks that there seems to be no limit to human potential. He then asks June who the rider was, and June reveals his name, Monster 13. It turns out he was a legendary American football player back in high school. As a star quarterback wearing number 13, he led his team and was known as the Beast of Football for his ability to practically carry the whole team on his own. But then, he suffered a brutal injury during a game and could no longer run like he used to. He had to quit football and give up his dreams of playing in the United States, eventually returning home to Korea. He started cycling every day as a way to rehabilitate his injured knee. For him, the repetitive motion of pedaling functioned as a form of intensive physical therapy. His love for the sport transformed him into a true beast on wheels. Now he has formed the Monster team, and they are officially entering the competition. He is already considered the heavy favorite to win. June explains that street cyclists and competitive track riders use completely different muscles and have different body types. He notes that since these athletes have bodies built for the track, they can handle a massive 5.1 gear without even breaking a sweat. Now pay attention, you and I can see the reality sinking in. They realize talking big among friends won't help them beat a monster like him. Dom Kang doesn't have much to say since he literally just bought his first bike. Seeing their disappointment at being outmatched, Harry offers them a chance to use the training rollers. She invites them to follow her so she can explain how they work. When Harry brings them into the designated training room, the guys are impressed. They have never seen a practice space this detailed or professional before. She explains that the team members come here to train. These rollers are perfect for mastering pedaling techniques and testing their endurance under controlled conditions. Training here will help them quickly identify the best riding posture and style for each individual rider. Dom Kang is ready to dive in first, despite having zero experience. But the very moment he positions his bike on the roller for training, he begins to struggle immediately. That alone is enough to hurt his pride. When Dom finally manages to start pedaling, it is clear how much effort he is putting into every single stroke. He starts wobbling from side to side, and the irritating noise he makes proves he can't control the bike properly. He never imagined that using a bike on a roller could be so complicated, or require so much strength. He shouts out, wondering why the bike is shaking so wildly. The shop manager kindly explains that the shaking happens because he is applying way too much force to the handlebars and his shoulders. She advises him to just relax his upper body to make it easier to control. Despite her tips, he still finds the whole process incredibly challenging. While it sounded simple when she explained the theory, putting it into practice is a whole different story. As Dom Kang keeps complaining, he notices Jay next to him pedaling on a roller, as if he has been doing it his entire life. He asks Jay how he is so good. Jay explains that the secret was his extensive practice as a child alongside his uncle. Mew also chimed in, remarking that Jay was good at everything he did. He found it terribly unfair. June smiles, adding that Jay is their ace for a reason. The mechanic notices that Jay's upper body stays perfectly steady while his pedaling remains completely smooth. He is in top form. Anyone can push a pedal, but using all your muscles to ride naturally like Jay requires an incredible amount of practice. Harry watches Jay and realizes he truly is the nephew of the great Mahanjo, possessing a natural talent for the sport. The beautiful mechanic then mentions she has to help another customer, but encourages everyone to keep practicing on the trainers whenever they can. Once they feel confident, they should move to the streets. After numerous attempts, Dom Kang feels completely exhausted and frustrated by the difficulty. It was much harder than he expected. Mew is also tired and drenched in sweat. While he didn't struggle as much as Dom, he still tired out very quickly. Trust me, you and I are watching them realize the truth. Sitting on a bike and pedaling is one thing, but mastering the art of cycling is a whole different climb. Alright, you and I are jumping back in with Dom Kang, who is totally exhausted but already dreaming of his next ride, despite barely knowing how to skid. Mew is honestly confused why Dom is crushing so hard on his sister, Yuna, mostly because he thinks she looks like a total cow. Dom Kang is not having it though, defending his dream girl's honor and insisting that she looks nothing like a farm animal. Mew is baffled that only weirdos like his sister, but here is the twist. Damong just realized his crush is actually Mew's own sibling. Mew thinks the reaction is weird because they are identical twins, but Dom Kang somehow never put two and two together until right now. Dom completely loses it and refuses to believe they are related, arguing there is no way siblings could look that different from each other. Mew asks if he really never suspected the connection before, but suddenly, Dom Kang starts acting weird and aggressive in the middle of the street. Now pay attention, because here is the part where Dom Kang stands before Mew and starts calling him brother out of nowhere. Mew is dying of embarrassment while the other guys actually stop their bikes just to watch this absolute cringe fest unfold in real time. Even Jay stops his constant studying just to witness the chaos. Meanwhile, Mia is at home drying her hair after a shower, feeling totally at peace. She looks at her bike and smiles, remembering that Jay promised to teach her how to ride properly very soon. This is her big chance to bond with him, and she is determined to make him proud. Finally, the day she has been waiting for has finally arrived. They are finally at the park for the big lesson, with Mia and Shelly sitting on a bench, clearly waiting for the boys to show up. Dom Kang rolls up with a bag of yogurt to keep the vibes high, offering the girls a choice between strawberry and the classic traditional flavor. Shelly just tosses the yogurt lid without even licking it, which totally triggers Dom Kang, who thinks that is the absolute best part of the snack. He calls her out immediately, asking her if she has no respect for the sacred etiquette of eating yogurt the proper way. Shelly completely ignores him, but Dom makes a point to lick his own lid with way too much enthusiasm and energy. He claims that is how it is done, licking the thing until it literally shines, while Shelly just watches him in pure, unfiltered disgust. Dom gets defensive, saying everyone eats it that way, and Mia kindly agrees just to make him feel a little less weird about it. Yuna shows up with the rest of the crew, and her brother immediately starts messing with her hair just because he knows it drives her crazy. Jay stays in his own world, completely oblivious to the drama, and Yuna does not seem to care about him at all right now. Mew starts cracking jokes while Mia jumps up to wave, desperately hoping Jay finally sees her, while Shelly just sits there acting cool and staying put. Dom Kang gives a dramatic bow to all the newcomers, totally eager to show off his brand new cycling skills specifically to impress Yuna. He tells her he stayed up practicing all night long, but Yuna just tells him to stop trying so hard to act cool. Her expectations are basically zero, but Dom is determined to win her over, so he decides it is finally time for a big stunt. You and I both know exactly where this is going, and trust me, it is going to hurt a lot more than he thinks. He goes for this unique skid technique, but instead of looking like a pro, he just finds a brand new way to crash and burn. The crash hits him exactly where it hurts most, and the pain is so intense that he just has to jump off his bike and roll around. Yuna just watches him squirm, joking that his training really paid off since he is basically a professional bicycle comedian now. She tells him he really does not need to try so hard to be funny, while Mia stays laser-focused on Jay, ignoring the entire chaotic mess. She asks if her seat is too high, and Jay gets all technical, explaining how a seat that is too low will eventually ruin her joints. Mia agrees to the setup and sweetly asks him to hold the back of the seat very tightly so she does not end up taking a spill. Jay keeps his distance, but promises he has got the bike steady for her very first real attempt at riding today. Minu is enjoying the show and suggests Shelly should leave, but she refuses to budge at all, even though she is clearly fuming with jealousy. Mia keeps begging him not to let go, but Jay tells her to stop being so scared and actually start pedaling for once. He warns her that tensing her shoulders will ruin her balance, and that she needs to keep her upper body relaxed to succeed. She is wobbling all over the place, pedaling like a complete maniac, and basically throwing herself at Jay every single time she starts to tilt over. He keeps telling her to center her weight, complaining that her stiff shoulders are making it way harder for him to help her out. Mia plays the shy card to keep his focus, while Shelly gets more and more ticked off that Jay is not noticing her at all. Shelly finally snaps and marches right up to Mia, demanding she stop flirting with Jay in the middle of their bike lesson. Minu is just staring off into space, thinking back to his childhood, and those long days spent teaching his little sisters exactly how to ride. He remembers Yuna teasing him, saying their dad only bought the bike so he could act as their personal babysitter for the afternoon. He loved it anyway, but then he remembers that one mystery kid who flew past them like they were not even there that day. His sister was in awe of the guy's skills, which was the exact moment Mu decided he had to train even harder to match him. And that is where we leave it, trust me. You and I are about to see if they ever catch that mystery rider. Alright, stick with me, you're about to see how a simple bike lesson turns into a total battleground for love. While Minu finds peace in his memories, Shell plays dumb, begging Jay for a lesson while he just sweats, trying to avoid the drama. Jay isn't buying it for a second, bluntly calling her out on her previous bragging about those cycling skills. Mia snaps, clearly fed up with the flirting, and demands Shell back off so they can actually start the lesson. Shell won't back down, asking if Mia is here to learn, or just to spend the entire day groping Jay. Mia is absolutely offended, demanding to know when she ever did that. She swears she barely touched him, and tells Shell to stop lying, but the tension is thick. Seeing Jay's pure embarrassment, Mu finally steps in to kill the drama before it explodes. He suggests a quick partner swap. Mu takes Mia, while Jay gets a much-needed break with Shell. Jay lets out a massive sigh of relief as his friend saves him. Shell doesn't miss a beat. Now that she has Jay all to herself, she starts playing around with her sunglasses, seeing how they look on his face while ignoring the other girls bickering. She even swaps his glasses for hers, but that strong prescription hits her like a truck. She nearly trips as the world starts spinning, proving her little game might have been a bad idea. Jay is totally unamused, handing back her shades and demanding his own pair. But Shelly is feeling stubborn today and refuses to give them back, keeping the game going. Watching from the sidelines, Mia's heart sinks. To her, it looks like Jay is having way more fun with Shelly than he ever had with her, and the disappointment is crushing. Mu notices her mood shift instantly and asks if she is unhappy with him as a teacher. The poor girl just looks away, shyly admitting that he isn't the problem here. But here is what they didn't know. You and I can see Mu's sister, Yuna, is standing right behind them and she is not happy. Annoyed, Yuna demands to know why her brother is teaching Mia instead of Jay. Mu just explains that they swapped because Jay was getting tired of the drama. Yuna is practically grinding her teeth, warning Mu not to try anything funny. But then Dom Kang appears out of nowhere, saluting Mu like he is some legendary boss and offering to distract Yuna so Mu can have his fun. Mu finds the boss title totally weird, but Dom couldn't care less. His only focus is getting on the good side of Mu's sister. Dom tells Mu to go enjoy his time with Mia, but Yuna isn't having it. She tells Dom to stop being weird and to quit calling her brother that ridiculous name. Dom just shrugs it off with a grin, explaining he calls him boss because he already feels like a member of their family. Yuna shows her own brand of affection, grabbing Dom by the neck as she prepares to pat his face with a very gentle punch. Meanwhile, Mia is forced to settle for her brand new cycling instructor. Eventually Mia breaks down in tears, convinced she has no talent. Mu gently explains that riding isn't about natural talent, it is all about the effort you put in. He tells her that her fear of falling is the only thing holding her back. Mia stays silent, her head down, knowing deep down that her new teacher is right. Mu keeps pushing, telling her that timidity is the real enemy. If she stays this scared, she will never move forward or become the legendary cyclist she wants to be. Mia looks away, haunted by the memories of being bullied in school. Her classmates used to tear her down with cruel, inappropriate jokes that she could never forget. She always stayed silent back then, swallowing her anger just to keep the peace. Those old memories are flooding back now, making this moment even more painful for her. Mu refuses to let her give up, warning that if she quits now, fear will control her forever. He places a hand on her helmet, telling her not to fear the ground. He tells her that confidence is everything. Sure, the first time is terrifying, but once you finally conquer that fear, it becomes nothing more than a memory. His words actually start to sink in, giving Mia the spark of courage she needs to keep trying. She decides right then that fear won't stop her from riding alongside Jay. Mu sees that fire in her eyes and smiles, ready to help her reach that goal. He stays right by her side, holding the bike steady while she struggles to find her balance. With every wobbly step, Mu is there, cheering her on and telling her she's almost there. Just a little more effort, and she will see the results. He tells her to stop looking at the ground, keep her eyes forward, and pedal with everything she's got. With the distractions gone, Mia is finally making real progress. The fear is still there, but knowing Mu is right behind her makes all the difference in the world. Mu can see she's finally getting the hang of it, but he tells her not to stop now. She's got to keep those pedals moving. I know what you're thinking, but wait until you see where Mu is standing. Mia asks him to hold on just a little longer, but when she looks back, she realizes he let go ages ago and is already standing far away. Mu shouts for her to keep going, and suddenly, everyone is watching in total awe as she finally finds her rhythm. Yuna is beaming with pride for her friend, and even Dom notices she is doing it all on her own. Only Shelly looks on with envy, acting like riding a bike is no big deal. But then, Jay gives Shell a look of such pure disappointment that it practically cuts right through her. He doesn't need to say a word for her to feel the sting. Meanwhile, Mu is feeling like a proud coach, knowing his patience is exactly what Mia needed to succeed today. Mia has finally done it. She is riding perfectly without anyone holding her up, and the look of pure satisfaction on her face says it all. She did this on her own. When she loops back to the group, Mu officially declares her a cyclist. He tells her with a grin that she actually picked it up pretty fast in the end. Now that she's officially part of the crew, they can finally go on a real ride together. Mia is glowing from Mu's recognition and the way he stayed patient with her. But then Jay looks over at them, and one glance is all it takes to ruin the celebratory mood. With a cold, disapproving stare, Jay tells them they look a little too comfortable and abruptly announces he's leaving. Mu is completely blindsided by his friend's sudden, icy attitude. Just like that, the whole group starts to fall apart. This changed everything, as Mu really wanted them to spend the whole day together as a team. Mia is absolutely crushed. She finally learned to ride just so she could be with Jay, and now he is the very first person to walk away from her. Yuna says it's a total shame, but since the vibe is ruined they might as well head out too. Mia tries to stay positive about her progress, but she knows it's time to go. So what do you and I think? Is Jay just jealous, or is this something new? We're about to find out as they all head home for the night. Alright, you and I are about to see what happens when a beast plays bodyguard for his crush. Yuna tries to brush Dom off, but he insists on following her, until she is safely in a taxi. Eventually, the exhaustion hits. Dom asks Yuna to watch his bike for a second while he ducks into a convenience store to grab a drink. Little did he know, this was a huge mistake. He tries to be nice, and asks if she wants anything, but Yuna just wants him to disappear. She finds his constant hovering beyond annoying at this point. Nearby, a group of frustrated guys are heading home, but one of them decides to split off and hit the same convenience store. He leaves his 3 friends waiting outside, right where Yuna is standing. These guys are in a terrible mood because their school is the only one in town that forces them to study even on weekends. As they wait for their friend, one of them spots Yuna across the street. She is standing all by herself, just holding onto Dom's bike. He tells his buddies she looks pretty good and decides he's going to make a move. With a smug grin he tells them to watch as he crosses the street to talk to her. Meanwhile, Yuna is just staring at her phone, getting frustrated. She is wondering why on earth Dom is taking so long to buy a simple drink. Suddenly the random guy walks up and interrupts her. He tells her she is gorgeous and demands her phone number right then and there. Yuna tries to act like he doesn't exist, but he just won't take a hint. He keeps pressuring her to give him her phone and add him on social media. Finally losing her cool, Yuna tells him flat out that she isn't interested and to go away. But this guy is the type who absolutely hates being rejected by anyone. Across the street, his friends are watching the whole thing unfold. Instead of helping, they think it is hilarious and start snapping photos of the heated confrontation. The guy snaps and starts yelling, demanding she repeat herself. He tries to act like he is in the right, claiming there is nothing wrong with asking for a girl's number. Then he goes too far, calling her a vulgar girl and screaming insults at her. He is absolutely enraged that a girl would dare to talk back to him like that. Now pay attention, because this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Someone arrives to shut this bully down for good. The counterattack is so brutal that his friends across the road are literally frozen in shock. The jerk who was just harassing Yuna is about to learn exactly why you should never mess with her. Dom Kang is back, and he is delivering a heavy dose of discipline to make sure this guy never treats a person like that again. He pulls off his cap, revealing a face of pure rage. It is clear that anyone who approaches Yuna disrespectfully is going to have to go through him. The bully is flat on the ground, completely knocked out. But his friends on the other side are already fuming, somehow deciding that this whole mess is actually Yuna's fault. Yuna sees them staring and starts to tremble. She knows this is about to get way worse because Dom is still seeing red and he is definitely not finished with these punks yet. One of the remaining guys glares at Dom, thinking they have the upper hand, just because they have him outnumbered 2-1. But Dom Kang is a total blur. Before they can even react, he is already right in their faces. I know what you are thinking, he is doing the right thing, right? Well, let us see how Yuna actually feels about Dom's brutal way of enforcing respect. Step by step, Dom makes sure these losers understand that no means no, and harassment has painful consequences they won't soon forget. Dom is a specialist in teaching lessons to anyone who disrespects Yuna, but Yuna is screaming at him to stop, terrified that he is going to end up in major trouble. Dom isn't done yet, because their manners were totally unacceptable. He turns his cold gaze toward the third guy, realizing he still has one more lesson to deliver today. The last guy is shaking and covered in sweat, knowing he is next. That's when Yuna begs Dom one more time to just walk away before things get even worse. Terrified of the fallout, Yuna manages to pull him away. They walk back in a heavy, suffocating silence. She's furious at his violence, and he's frustrated because he couldn't hold back. Eventually, Yuna snaps and says she will just take a taxi from here. Dom asks if she is really that mad at him for resolving the situation earlier. She tells him yes, reminding him that she already asked him to stop getting into fights on her behalf. Dom is confused, asking if she really expected him to just stand there while that jerk disrespected her. Yuna argues that there are better ways to handle people than total violence. Frustrated, Dom asks if she truly wanted him to do nothing while she was being insulted. For a long moment Yuna has no answer. She knows he is right, but she hates having him intervene in her life like this. Dom finally tells her that since she grew up like a princess, she just doesn't understand the real world. As he walks away, Dom says he just hopes she gets home safe. Meanwhile, the guy who ran away from the store is already on his phone, calling for backup. He's calling for major reinforcements, frantically explaining how his 3 friends just got wrecked by one guy. A massive storm is brewing. These guys are connected to Vinnie, a legendary troublemaker who lives for starting fights and crushing anyone in his way. The voice on the other end promises they will take action. It is Vinnie's best friend, and he is about to deliver the news to the boss himself. When Vinnie hears that someone is messing with his crew, he puts out his cigarette. He decides it is time to go handle this situation personally. The guy who made the call rushes back to his friends on the bench. All of them look absolutely miserable and broken after Dom's brutal lesson. They actually have the nerve to think what happened was unfair. But the one friend who didn't get hit tells them they should have never been harassing girls in the first place. He explains he only survived because he ran after being kicked. The guy who started this mess just calls him a coward for abandoning them when things got real. The instigator nervously asks why they had to call Vinnie and Son over a fight like this at a time like this. He says it is embarrassing that 3 of them got dropped by one person. But suddenly Vinnie appears, ordering the guy to get his hands off the boy immediately. The guy is so terrified that he literally falls to the ground. He looks up and realizes the imposing voice belonged to none other than Vinnie himself. Trust me, you and I need to see the storm coming, as Vinnie demands to know where the boy is. Alright, you and I are diving right back into the chaos as the mystery fighter vanishes, leaving Vinnie absolutely fuming at his own student for being such an embarrassment. Son figures out their attacker was just another student. One guy remembers a few details: long hair and a band-aid under his nose, but that is about all they have got. Besides the long hair and that band-aid, their memory is a complete blank. But then, one of them comes through with a lucky break. A friend caught a photo while trying to be funny during a failed flirt attempt. They actually have a lead. They figure the girl on the bike is his girlfriend, but the quality is terrible. It is almost impossible to tell who they are looking at. Son is confused on how to use a blurry photo, while the guy who got rejected is just pissed that his failure was caught on camera for everyone to see. Now watch this. Vinnie spots something in the background. He tells Son to send the file over immediately because he has got a plan to track them down. Vinnie hits up an old connection. This guy is a beast, training on a treadmill to push his cycling speeds to the absolute limit. The friend starts complaining immediately. He hates being interrupted when he is in the zone. He stops to wipe away the sweat and answers. Clearly annoyed, it is Vinnie. But Vinnie just tells him to shut up and look at the picture he sent. Vinnie wants to know if anyone on his elite team is riding that specific trail bike. TJ says no way, nobody on his squad touches bikes like that. He is dying to know why Vinnie is even asking him. Vinnie describes the target: long hair, band-aid under the nose. TJ starts putting the pieces together. It clicks. There is only one guy like that. He is a close friend of the student council president at Sunny School, and TJ passes that info right along. Vinnie is hooked the second he hears Sunny School. TJ is feeling pretty smug after handing over the identity of his rival's crew. The guy is best friends with Jay, the one person TJ can never seem to beat. You see that evil laugh? TJ has no idea what Vinnie is planning, but he is just glad the target isn't him this time around. Next day, Dom Kang walks into class totally glued to his phone. His buddies call him out, trying to get him to train on the rollers after school. Dom has to pass. He is working tonight, and you can tell Mu is seriously disappointed. Dom promises to train later if he gets a break. Meanwhile, Jay and Mu start bickering over whose classroom it is, and things get heated fast. Mu says the room is for everyone, but Jay just shuts him down, saying he has no reason to ever step foot in other classes. Classmates are already whispering that these two are having another lover's spat. The rumors are spreading like wildfire. Shell sneaks a quick photo of Jay before he can react. He is definitely not a fan of the paparazzi treatment. She calls him handsome and says she is telling her friends back in England that she found a guy. She needs the photo to prove he is her boyfriend. Jay gives a hard no, but she just laughs it off. She already posted their selfie to her profile for everyone to see. She shows him the post, and yeah, it is already viral. Meanwhile, Mia is feeling good because she and Yuna have movie plans for tomorrow. Yuna walks in and locks eyes with Dom. Neither of them looks happy, and they pass each other without saying a single word. Even Dom, who usually lights up around Yuna, is acting cold. He says he is exhausted and crashes for a nap just to avoid talking. Miu can feel the awkwardness. These two aren't even looking at each other anymore. Mia asks Yuna if something went down with Dom. Yuna looks devastated, but she just brushes it off, saying it is nothing. Yuna says they aren't even close enough to fight. Outside, Dom's loyal guard dog, Jordan, is keeping a sharp eye on his bike while he is in class. When Dom finally shows up, Jordan goes absolutely wild. That dog really loves his owner. Dom decides to skip out early and thanks Jordan for the help. But the second he unclips the leash, the dog just takes off. Dom is forced to grab his bike and chase him down, screaming Jordan's name while everyone in the street stops to stare at the chaos. To solve the problem, Dom literally straps the massive dog to his backpack. He is riding through town with a huge dog on his back. Dom tells his buddy Jordan to stay put from now on. It is too dangerous for a dog to be running solo. School lets out, and the three thugs from yesterday are lurking at the gates, waiting to ambush someone. They are from a different school, but they are camping out at Sunny School, desperate to find the kid who humiliated them. They don't see the guy, but they spot the girl from before. Yuna is walking home with her friend Mia. Yuna looks totally depressed since Dom left early. The lead bully sees her and gets that creepy smile on his face. Mia is trying to figure out what is wrong with Dom, but Yuna just tells her not to worry. This isn't the first time he has skipped. Yuna tells her friend to let it go. She is sure Dom is doing just fine. They are walking along when the three thugs suddenly block their path. One of them asks Yuna if she remembers his face. Mia is terrified, wondering who these creeps are. Meanwhile, over at the club, Dom is busy perfecting his cycling tricks with his crew. Trust me, you and I are watching the birth of a monster. Dom is smashing records and taking his skills to a level that is honestly terrifying. Alright, you and I are about to dive into the story of Dom Kang, a guy working his heart out just to join a team and prove his worth. But then, his phone starts buzzing. It was a weird time for a call, and when Dom pulled it from his pocket he knew something was wrong. It was Mia, and she was absolutely terrified. Between her tears and screams, she begged him to come help Yuna before it was too late. Those same bullies from the other day were back for Yuna. In an instant, Dom's face turned stone cold, and even his bodyguards could feel the sudden dangerous shift in his energy. His guards tried to stop him, but Dom just grabbed his bike and took off like a literal rocket, his eyes burning with pure intensity as he sped away. Meanwhile, the bullies were cornering Yuna, demanding Dom's number. They mocked her, saying there was no point in protecting her boyfriend because they'd find him one way or another. Yuna didn't back down, telling them they were pathetic for picking fights and obsessing over Dom. She warned them to back off right now, or she'd call the police to handle these nuisances once and for all. One of the guys just laughed, giving her a chilling warning about what would happen if she dared. Poor Mia was losing it, completely out of her element. Quietly, Mia whispered that she'd already called Dom. Yuna's eyes widened in total shock. This was exactly what she feared. Now pay attention here. Vinnie was standing right there. He wasn't just a bully, he was chaos personified, and trouble followed him like a shadow wherever he went. You could tell by the look in his eyes he was starving for a fight. He'd clearly planned this entire trap for Dom. Mia had accidentally led Dom straight into a trap. Dom's bodyguards tried to chase after his bike, but they got stuck at a red light, losing their target in the city traffic. With them was Jordan, Dom's most loyal dog. Jordan couldn't believe how fast Dom was pedaling that bike. Meanwhile, Dom's father called, demanding to know what the hell was going on. They told him Dom had suddenly dashed toward the school like a madman. Dom was hitting incredible speeds now, even losing his cap as he pushed his body to the absolute limit. As he pedaled, his mind was a blur of panic. He had to reach her before those monsters laid a single hand on Yuna. Guilt aided him because they hadn't talked all day. As he rode, memories of how they first met started flooding back. He remembered his old look and that iconic mustache. He was working security at a club when he saw a man aggressively grabbing a young girl. Dom stepped in and told him to let her go, but the guy was a rude jerk and refused to back off. Another young man intervened, warning the creep that his father wouldn't be happy about this behavior. The guy immediately folded, apologized, and scurried away like a frightened rat. The girl looked at Dom, and he looked back. That was the very first moment Dom and Yuna ever locked eyes. Fast forward to the first day at Sunny School. Dom showed up on crutches with a broken leg. Everyone was whispering, thinking he was some high-ranking heir. But then Yuna appeared, asking if he was the same mustached guy she'd seen at the club that night. You and I both know this was the start of one complicated relationship. She scolded him for his hair and clothes, telling him to act like a real student. Dom fired back, asking who she thought she was. She just glared at him, clearly annoyed by his attitude. Dom pulled her aside and begged her for a favor. He needed her to keep their encounter at the club a total secret from the rest of the school. He explained that his mustache and his night job had to stay hidden if he wanted to survive here. Dom didn't get why she cared, but Yuna just told him that if he was so scared, he should stop acting like a thug and be a normal student. He told her to stop bothering him with that nonsense, thinking she had some serious personality issues. Later, Dom watched as Mia and Yuna reunited like old best friends. They chatted right in front of him, making him wish he'd just pretended he never met her at all. Why did he have to be stuck in the same school? Only 1 year left until college, and he just wanted to party. That's what some nearby guys were saying, but as they passed Dom, they gave him a nasty look and muttered some insults under their breath. He tried to ignore them, but they called him back. They were seniors and wanted to know how a lowly freshman dared to look them in the eye. Dom calmly said he was just looking ahead. Being seniors, they weren't about to let a guy with such a wild look talk back to them like that. One of them warned Dom to stop acting so tough, but Dom didn't flinch. He just kept staring them down, completely unfazed. The guy lunged forward with a heavy hook, but Dom dodged it effortlessly like it was nothing at all. But since Dom was injured, they kicked his crutch out from under him. As he hit the ground, they started stomping on him, demanding he show some respect. They walked away, laughing about how kids these days were soft. They warned him to stay in his place if he wanted to stay in one piece. But little did they know. Dom slowly picked up his crutch. While the two seniors were still trash-talking and planning to bully more freshmen, Dom suddenly appeared right behind them like a ghost. By the time one turned around, it was game over. The crutch was already flying toward his face. That day, Dom became the school's most brutal disciplinarian. He flattened both of them. Right then, Mia and Yuna happened to be walking by. They watched in awe as Dom finished educating those seniors. The two bullies were left completely broken and thoroughly disciplined on the pavement. Yuna was absolutely speechless. Seeing Dom take down two seniors while on crutches with a broken foot was something she never expected. Dom just stood there, towering over those who tried to hurt him. So, what do you and I think? Is Dom a hero or just a magnet for trouble? Trust me, the real chaos is just beginning. Alright, you and I are about to see how one delinquent's life flips completely upside down starting right now at this school. He also ordered them to keep the incident totally quiet to save the school's reputation from being ruined. The vice principal was panicking because all this chaos happened while the big boss was away on business. He told Dom Kang that his parents were already on their way to the school. Suddenly, the secretary came in to notify them that his father had finally arrived. The vice principal told her to let them in. She tried to warn him, but they barged inside anyway. Dom Kang's father walked in with a full squad of bodyguards, casually joking about what a fine school his son attended. Removing his glasses to look even scarier, the father demanded to know what his son had done this time. Now watch this. The vice principal practically vanished in fear once he saw the father. Dom knew right then that this situation was about to explode even further. Later, Dom walked through the halls completely untouched, leaving everyone shocked that he had not been expelled yet. After he wrecked two seniors with his crutches, students started avoiding him and whispering behind his back in fear. Dom was frustrated that everyone kept talking about him as if he didn't exist. He found a high, quiet spot to take a nap, and eventually he drifted off to sleep. He was suddenly startled awake when someone told him to get up. Dom realized the person was literally kicking him to hurry him up. Annoyed, he wondered who would dare touch him. Then he saw it was just that nagging girl again. She stared him down, asking if he knew how much time she had wasted looking for him everywhere in the school. Immediately Dom asked why she was looking for him. She said the teacher had sent her because they needed a word. He just laid back down, saying he'd go later. For now, he just wanted to relax because teachers gave him a headache. Opening one eye to see if she left, he saw her still there on her phone. She told him she felt sorry for him. How could a student dye his hair and work at clubs while fighting seniors? Why couldn't he just be a decent student? Dom Kang wanted to know why she was bothering him so much. Surprisingly, the two of them stayed on that rooftop for hours. Okay, I know what you're thinking, but this rooftop talk gets deep. She asked him exactly what he planned to do once he graduated. She said everyone has dreams, and assumed he did too. That's when Dom admitted he actually liked music. She asked if he wanted to write music or be a singer, but he admitted he did not know for sure. He just knew he belonged in that world. She thought his answer was a little too vague for now. Dom explained that music was the only thing that made him feel calm. He concluded he wanted to make great music too. Yuna told him that studying music in university could get him a degree, but Dom wondered if it was really necessary to go to school for music. She said it was not mandatory, but that is where people go to become real specialists in their field. Dom lit a cigarette while listening, but Yuna shut that down immediately. He had to take it out. She told him that whatever he ends up doing, he should never smoke while he is at school. She warned that without a high school diploma, society would never value him. Dom changed the subject and asked what she wanted to do, but she had no answer. Dom found her response hard to understand. Yuna explained she just studied whenever possible, because she wanted to work hard for her younger brother. She didn't have a long-term goal for herself. But when Dom asked about her brother, she suddenly went completely silent. Saying she wasted her time, she stood up and told Dom to behave and see the teacher. Dom joked that she was the one talking. Yuna admitted it was nice that he had a dream. She hoped his dreams would come true and promised her full support. Again, she told him to go see the teacher. From that day on, Dom saw Yuna differently. He realized that absolutely no one in his life had ever actually offered him that kind of support before. Suddenly he felt a huge sense of purpose burning in his chest, as big as his desire to change. The next day everyone at school was completely shocked. They noticed Dom had dyed his hair black. Instead of making a mess like usual, the boy was actually trying to help clean up all around the school. Dom noticed a student wasting an eraser just to leave a mess. He told the boy to stop because he was cleaning. When the boy ignored him, Dom glared at the drawing and all the eraser bits on the floor. Dom told the boy that if those scraps hit the floor, he would have to pick them all up. This left the boy feeling uneasy. Dom handed him a correction pen instead. Startled, the boy quickly agreed to use it. Back at class, he saw Yuna cleaning windows. He could see she was working way too hard. He took the cloth right out of her hand and told her to let a man handle the job instead. This was stressing the teachers out even more. They yelled at him to come down because it was very dangerous. And that's where we leave it. Dom was literally hanging outside the school window on a bad leg just to help. Pretty wild, right? Alright, you and I are about to watch our main character try way too hard to impress his crush. Yuna felt the guilt sinking in. After class, as they walked, she told him she had never seen anyone so over the top. Dom was completely wiped out from trying so hard. Yuna just sighed, telling him he should try acting like a normal person for once. Then, his stomach gave a loud growl. Seeing this, Yuna offered to buy him a meal as a reward for all his work. But in Dom's head, this wasn't just food. He immediately convinced himself that she was asking him out on a real date. Now pay attention, because Dom's daydreaming is about to get interrupted. Yuna was already walking ahead, asking if he was ever going to follow her. Suddenly a guy slammed into him. Even though it wasn't his fault, Dom apologized. But the guy was clearly looking for a fight. He demanded cash for his ruined uniform. These were clearly TJ's goons, and Dom Kang finally asked why this was even his problem. Yuna whispered a warning if he fought back, she'd never speak to him again. She stepped in, offering to pay for the cleaning. The kid demanded 300,000 won for a new suit. Yuna didn't blink, asking for his account to send the cash immediately. But Dom stopped her. Instead of money, he offered the guys his limited edition sneakers as a trade for the uniform. He mentioned how insanely hard it had been to get those specific shoes from a famous rapper. You and I both know those shoes are special. They were rare Jordan 5-1 sneakers supposedly worn by Michael Jordan himself. Dom pitched them hard, but the goons wondered if they were just fakes. But one look at the stitching and the logo told them everything. These sneakers were the real deal, worth a fortune. Yuna was totally lost, not getting the hype at all. But for the guys, this was better than any cash payment. The shoes were pure fire, and would sell for huge money online. They took the bribe as an apology for bothering Yuna. Yuna was actually impressed by his peaceful fix. Dom told her his goal was to graduate high school without any more drama. He had reasons to leave his clan behind now. Yuna smiled, promising to buy him whatever he wanted to eat. Dom chose chicken, but then he did something sneaky. He messaged his personal bodyguards about everything that had just happened. The bodyguards moved fast, intercepting the kids. What those goons didn't know was that while they laughed about bullying more losers, a nightmare was coming right for them. Just around the corner, Dom Kang's massive bodyguards were waiting. One look at them and the boys were frozen in pure terror. They demanded the shoes back, promising things would stay civil if they complied. After the handoff, things got very, very loud. Minutes later, the goons were found tied to a tree and sobbing like babies. Dom pedaled away as fast as he could, knowing he just broke his long promise to Yuna. He rode as fast as possible, flying right past Minu and Jay. But Dom was so focused, he didn't even see them there. He was in a rush. Trust me, you must see what's next.